that student loan debt would be canceled up to $50,000.
So, Elizabeth, can you put this issue to bed and tell us whether or not you are, in fact, a member of a minority group?
So, middle-class families.
Why did you list yourself as an American Indian on this Texas bar application?
So, I grew up out in Oklahoma. So, look.
Why did you check those boxes?
So.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The president's misconduct cannot be decided at the ballot box, for we cannot be assured that the vote will be fairly won.
It was a virtuoso performance.
I thought Schiff's performance was a virtuoso performance yesterday.
Adam Schiff did masterfully what all prosecutors are trained to do.
You mean live?
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
His closing speech is one of the tour de forces that I have seen in my decades here.
Pucker up, Chuck.
A good number of my Republican colleagues heard the entire arguments powerfully, succinctly.
Almost 2.5 hours by Adam Schiff.
There is a lot of extraneous information in there that wouldn't be admissible in court. If you're just an average citizen trying to get a handle on this thing, I think it was really hard to follow. And nobody's going to listen to a 2.5-hour speech. Nobody's going to listen to a full hour speech.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
You're supposed to believe Adam Schiff today and everything he's saying. Remember, this is the guy who said we have more than circumstantial evidence. Adam Schiff said the Nunes memo was false. Adam Schiff said you can trust the FISA court. Adam Schiff told us we look forward to hearing from the whistleblower. Adam Schiff said we've had no contact with the whistleblower. He just talked for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we're supposed to believe everything he said today.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Adam Schiff's arguments to open the day today directly drew into question Hunter Biden and made not only his testimony relevant, which it already was, but it is now critical.
How did Hunter Biden get $1.5 billion to invest when he'd been in business for 60 days from China? Joe Biden's one of the finest men I know, but he's got to explain this.
Wait. You're getting nervous, man. Calm down.
You're the one who's nervous.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Did Chuck Schumer really say that Schiff spoke succinctly? Succinctly? That's the longest opening argument I've ever heard. And it's not over yet. And 24 hours from now, it's not going to be over. Succinctly? And there are not even any crimes have been charged. And he mentioned Russia 40 times. Doesn't the Fifth Amendment prohibit double jeopardy? You can't be tried twice for the same crime. I understand it's not technically a courtroom. It's not a criminal or a civil trial. But still, don't they have to abide by some kind of the same rules of jurisprudence? How many more of the Bill of Rights can they trash here? The Democrats. The First Amendment. You know, Hillary Clinton wanted to get rid of Citizens United, which protects freedom of speech. They went after Obama and sicked the IRS on the Tea Party. The Second Amendment. Hillary Clinton said, I'm going to appoint justices. They're going to overturn D.C. versus Heller, which protects your right to bear arms. Now look what's going on in Virginia. The Fourth Amendment, prohibiting illegal search and seizure. How's that working out for Carter Page? When the secret Democrat FISA courts and the secret police known as the FBI for the Democrats trash his Fourth Amendment rights. The Fifth Amendment, we already mentioned that. The Sixth Amendment, the right to confront accusers, unless it's the whistleblower, who, incidentally, doesn't even have any direct evidence, only hearsay. And now, today, Mr. Speaker, what about the Eighth Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibiting the infliction, Mr. Speaker? That's the word they use, the infliction of cruel and unusual punishments on prisoners, which is what those 100 senators are. They're prisoners.
Not Dianne Feinstein. She escaped.
She escaped. When I used to be on the Wellesley Town Committee, okay? And you were supposed to be there for those meetings, right? I knew a guy. I finally just said, "Screw it, I'm not coming. I'm outnumbered. I'm on the lam like Dianne Feinstein." But there was one guy. He was a state senator in our town, and he would come. He would check in, and he would just wait until the proper moment, like 5-10 minutes in, and he would take it on the lam, get out. I was thinking of him last night when Dianne Feinstein, but he would always try to sneak out. Dianne Feinstein didn't even sneak out last night. She walked out. She saw 2 reporters who she recognized, and she didn't duck. She didn't duck. She said, "Good night," and then ran to the car.
Is my driver here?
Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders.
Well, Howie, it's like when you go to a graduation. You're not going to wait until they get to the Z's. You're going to get your diploma and run.
Yeah.
They take forever.
Yeah,
if you went to a graduation
you
speech
and I
that
are
was
fortunate. Do you know people whose last names are higher up in the alphabet live longer than people who were deep into the alphabet? We are fortunate. Our last names start with C.
Taylor
the third
too.
letter.
Carr, Cormier, Curley. Sorry, Brandon.
boy.
Brandon's at the bottom of the list.
Always the odd man out.
And
Brandon.
then the guy I feel most sorry for is Rand Paul. I mean, you talk about a guy who deserves a Profile and Courage Award. First, the Bernie bro opens fire on him when he's at the congressional baseball practice, right? He almost gets killed there. Doesn't get wounded like Steve Scalise, but they were shooting at him. The guy was shooting at him. Then he's cutting his lawn in, I think it's Newport, Kentucky, Covington, Newport, one of those Cincinnati suburbs. And he gets attacked by one of Taylor's former neighbors from New Bedford. This moonbat just comes up and sucker punches him and literally almost kills him. Mm-hmm. And now he's in the hole.
The most painful punishment of all.
30 hours in the hole. 30 hours in the hole. And all he's got, they said all he's got is a crossword puzzle. And he's not even like, like I got a legal pad in front of me. I can do whatever I want. I don't have to hide the legal pad. He has to hide that crossword puzzle. Mm-hmm. I mean, how bad is it?
Howie, when I used to be in college, there would be these long lectures, and even in school, like elementary school, and you'd be so bored, and you'd look at the clock, and you'd say, "Okay, I have an hour left. So once I get through half of that," then you get through half, and you go, "Okay, so I have 30 minutes left," and you just wait, and then you break it up into chunks, like, "Okay, I just got to get through this next 10 minutes, and this next 10 minutes." This must be so painful. They must be jotting it down on their paper like, "Okay, we only have this much time left."
It must be really, really tough for Chuck Schumer. He's seeing people that aren't there. Have you seen this video?
No, what did he say?
He walks down to his chair and then he points at the chair and like tells somebody to shoo from his chair, but there's nobody sitting there. Then he sits down and like all the senators around him are looking at each other like, "Did you just see that?"
Well, I mean, it's got to be taking something out of him for him to be talking about what a tour de force and how brilliant everything is. I mean, even if you're not watching it and they're just cutting in like 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, and you're reading the running accounts online, you know how bad it is. And for him to say succinctly, I agree with him on the first 3 letters, suck. But beyond that, it is not succinct. It's here's the thing. If this was a court, there's no way they would allow any more than like a 2-hour opening statement. And then you say, "Judge, this is a very complicated case. I need 24 hours. The judge would say, "You're first of all, counsel, you're going to lose the jury. if you talk that long. They're going to hate you. You're not even called the first witness. You haven't introduced the first piece of evidence, and they're going to hate you. And let me tell you something else, counsel. I'm going to hate you. And I'm the one who's going to have to decide. You're not going to speak for 24 hours. And there aren't any crimes. How many times can we say this? They say you have to impeach somebody for treason, bribery, or other high crimes or misdemeanors. There is no high crimes, misdemeanors, treason, or bribery in the so-called articles of impeachment. Someone says it's so boring and tiresome. Senator Leahy brought his own coffin to lay down.
Oh my gosh.
So someone else points out Abraham. You know how many words Abraham Lincoln had in the Gettysburg Address? 272. 272. He was like the warm-up act for this guy, this great alleged great orator, the Adam Schiff of his day, you might say. And nobody even remembers what this guy spoke for. The guy that after Abraham Lincoln spoke for 3 or 4 hours. In other words, 1/6 of what Adam Schiff is speaking for, and nobody remembers it.
But you're so right about when someone goes for such a long time. You're 100% right. You start to resent them no matter what they're saying.
Of course you do.
When my graduation speaker in college spoke, she got up for I think like 4 minutes, and then she said, I know everybody wants to get out of here, so I think I'm good. And you know what? If you asked me how her speech was, I would say it was phenomenal. I loved her. If she had gone on for 4 hours.
Like Joe Pesci accepting his Academy Award many years ago, he just said, "Hey, thanks," and left.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I love Joe Pesci. There you go.
Yeah, you have to make the jury, if you're either the prosecutor or the defendant's lawyer, you have to make the jury like you, or at least not dislike you. And what is the worst way to ingratiate yourself to any group of people other than boring the bejesus out of them? Oh, this is pain. I almost feel sorry for the fake Indian. That's how horrible this thing is.
Let's not go crazy.
I said almost. 844-500-4242. So Lisa Murkowski is, she's fed up with this.
Yeah, I guess Jerry Nadler said that thing where if you don't allow for more witnesses, then you are engaging in a cover-up. And she told some reporter outside she found that very offensive. And she's the only type of person they're trying to sway, or people like Murkowski and Collins. And she said it was offensive because she's trying to be fair, and he's already saying that there's a cover-up. So I don't think he's doing a great job of bringing people to his side.
Yeah. 508 says Rand Paul needs a pair of those glasses from Jack's Joke Shop that have the eyes painted on them so that you can just put the glasses on and then just fall asleep. Well, why is it Bernie? I mean, Bernie's not even pretending to be awake. He just goes in there and takes a power nap.
Yeah, I would definitely nap. I mean,
but I think Dianne Feinstein's got the right idea. Who wants to sit in a chair and doze off when you could go home and just get into your nice, warm, cozy bed and sleep?
And I guess a lot of the pundits were really mad at Dianne Feinstein, not just Rand Paul, but also Di-Fi, that she left. They were saying, if you can't sit there for all the hours, then you shouldn't be doing this job. It's like, well, obviously they shouldn't be doing this job. We already know that. Anyone above the age, what is she, like 82?
I think she's 85. Actually.
Yeah, she should have stopped a long time ago, but this doesn't make me not like her. This makes me like her more.
Someone just gave us the quote from Polonius: brevity is the soul of wit.
Right.
Yeah. 2 hours and 40 minutes would be too much, but 24 hours? You got to be kidding me. 844-500. It was dazzling. It was dazzling. It was a tour de force. Not the Tour de France, the Tour de Force. They kept saying that over and over again. It was a tour de force. I'm Howie Carr.
The paper boy with a big microphone. Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Captain Parker's Chowder Company, the official clam chowder of the Howie Carr Show. Pick up some today at a supermarket near you. And thanks from the bottom of the bowl.
Hey, New England, we love our choices: skiing, hiking, shopping, and we love what gets us there: a car, a truck, or an SUV. With over 2,000 vehicles in stock in one convenient location, Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC is always a smart choice. Come to New England's highest volume GM dealer. You'll find the lowest, most transparent pricing around, a friendly, no-pressure staff, and over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles. And with a full-service internet department, you can call ahead and take care of most of the details before you even walk through the door. Right now, current qualified lessees can lease a 2019 GMC Sierra 1500 for around $309 per month, or a 2020 GMC Terrain for only $245 per month. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Real prices, huge inventory, always in stock. BanksAutos.com. GMC, we are professional grade. $1,500 cash down on lease. First payment and doc fee due at signing. Must have current qualifying lease. See dealer for complete details.
Cory Booker said it best.
There are definitely moments where you listen to Joe Biden and you just wonder.
Here's stumbling and mumbling Joe Biden.
David Duke, the former leader of the KKK. The Ku Klux Klan is the Ku Klux Klan. 8 more years of Donald Trump will change America in a fundamental way. But if Donald Trump is reelected, Freudian slip, and the demagogues around the world. We also have a mechanism to control drug prices. Folks at the folks at Health and the Health Department in the United States, HHS. It would put 720 million women back in the workforce. I never ever thought that I'd see what I saw in Charlotte.
Would you or would you not rejoin the TPP, yes or no?
I would not rejoin the TTP. Well, they're going out and getting G5 and going to dominate. I mean, what are we doing? Bills that the future president here, that the senator's talking about.
I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dr. Houghton, tell us about the state-of-the-art procedures that can help many people look 10 to 15 years younger.
As we age, we do lose these proper proportions to our faces. And so if you're deficient in your chin or mid-face, we can create the proper proportions and make you look great. Sometimes we use orthodontics to change the look of the face. Sometimes we just use the teeth themselves and it creates the right support for a beautiful face. They're all non-surgical procedures.
There's some pretty complex cases that you deal with. Give me an example of a tough case.
Well, some cases people just are missing a lot of teeth. I get a lot of people that come in and think that I cannot solve their problems because they're too great, but I really can. We've been doing this for over 35 years and there isn't much that we haven't seen.
So even if you're missing a few teeth or your teeth are discolored or you're very embarrassed, there's no reason not to come in for a consultation, right?
Absolutely. New techniques, new technology, things are available to us that we never had before, and we can handle just about everything.
Where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Out of all of your books, which is your favorite title and why?
I think my favorite title is Hitman because it's very effective. I thought long and hard about it. We're going to make it Boston Hitman, but then why make it Boston Hitman? Just make it Hitman. Make it a universal subject.
If you could have dinner with one author, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would probably have dinner with William Shakespeare. I know that's a cliche response, but he was the greatest writer in the English language, no question about it.
If you won Mega Millions, would you retire completely?
I used to say no, I would not retire, but yeah, I think I would retire now.
If you had to leave all of your money to one charity, which would it be?
The Salvation Army. I like what the Salvation Army does. I don't think they have too many highly paid executives trying to be social justice warriors.
Hi, my name is Jane Lucas, and I am from the town of South China, Maine.
This is Al from Merrimack, New Hampshire.
Hi, I'm Angela from Brewster on the Cape, and this is the one and the only Howie Carr Show.
Brevity is the soul of wit, Polonius. Here's another one for you. It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt.
My mom put that on the fridge when we were young kids. She said, I want you all to read this every
we
morning.
know Adam Schiff's mother didn't put it on his refrigerator, I'll tell you that. And Nadler's another one. God almighty. Give me that's the tag team match. Schiff and Nadler. With a little bit of help from other clowns, assorted clowns. Today's poll question is brought to you by Hearing Help Express. Get your free hearing loss information kit today. Call 1-800-353-5200. Taylor, what is the poll question and what are the results thus far?
Will the Democrats let Hunter Biden testify?
Good God, no. I can't. I just can't imagine it. No, there was a story saying that he's preparing to testify, but I can't see it. No.
97% say no.
When you plead guilty to a federal felony, probably in state court too. I'm more familiar with the federal courts. The judge asks you, sir, do you understand that if you plead guilty, you will forfeit your right to own a fire? Yes, I do. Sir, are you under the influence of narcotics as you make this plea this morning? They have to ask him that question. Are you under the influence of intoxicating liquor? What is Hunter Biden going to say? Is there any time he's ever not under the influence of intoxicating liquors or narcotics? No, there's no way no. They already nixed it, didn't they? Didn't Schumer nix it already? I thought he did. But, I guess they're still talking about it. And Jay from Chelsea and several other people are saying it's not a toward the force, it's a toward the farce. Yeah, a toward the farce. Ha, 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 ha. Bill from West Hartford. I'm in the mood for some comic relief here, or not so comic relief. Go ahead, Bill.
Yes, hi. I want to tell you, I am so thrilled that Donald Trump, I think, will be removed from office. And I want to tell you and your listeners that if Donald Trump is removed from office, I promise you that I will get a job 24 hours later.
Right. Yeah. You know what's going to happen, Bill? I have this on good authority. President Trump told me this in Mar-a-Lago. If he is removed from office, he is going to make sure that your welfare check will cease. That will be his last official duty as president of the United States, to strip you.
But I'm out of pills now. I'm out of pills. I'm out of money.
It's only the 23rd of the month. There's 8 days left in this month. What are you going to do? You got no money. You got no money for fortified wine. You got no money for hookers in downtown Hartford. You got what are you going to do?
I'm waiting for Donald Trump being removed from office to give me a high.
Here's the thing, Bill. If you want to get through the month, just turn on the TV and go to C-SPAN, one of the channels that's still covering this thing wall to wall. And pretty soon you'll be in a coma. And you won't have to worry about any pills or fortified wine or crack or anything like that.
I like MSNBC better. MSNBC.
Goodbye. John, you're next with... we're out of time. We'll take some more calls when we come back. I apologize to anybody who was offended by that, but I just was in the mood. I'm Howie Carr.
Amendment number 2 in the Bill of Rights reads like this: a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. You have the right to bear arms, so go ahead and bear them. But you also have the responsibility of keeping your guns in a safe place. Keep your guns and other valuables in the safe made with the best materials and craftsmanship in the USA. A Liberty Safe. Visit LibertySafeNewHampshire.com to find the right safe for you.
Are you looking for a pre-owned car? Well, before you go to the dealership where you'll be pounced on by pushy salespeople, give the Car Guys a try. I'm Bill Papageorge, and my job is to make finding the perfect used car as easy as possible. That means I do all of the tough legwork for you. Once I figure out what you want out of a car, I go find it. I've been in this business for a long time, and I know what to look out for. I won't bring you a car unless I know it will meet or exceed your expectations. So give me a call at 800-300-4600. That is 800-300-4600.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
When I raise money, excuse me, I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your rating
Let me ask, if I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? You think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
John, what happened at Perfect Smiles when you went?
The initial consultation was easy. In the past, they just hand me a clipboard to fill out the forms, but that's not how I worked at Perfect Smiles. What was nice was it was a true consultation. They asked me my medical history or what I wanted to get out of the treatment plan. For me, I lived with TMJ. I'd literally have to crack my jaw throughout the day to relieve the pressure. I'd get headaches throughout the day. I'd be in pain. When I was at Perfect Smiles, they asked me what I wanted to get out of the treatment. As a joke, I just said, geez, I'd love you to be able to fix my TMJ. And I was surprised because Dr. Houghton specializes in working with patients like me that have TMJ.
What were the results of visiting Dr. Houghton at Perfect Smiles?
Not only did I walk out of that office with a perfect smile, but he fixed my TMJ. It was a life-changing event. People tell me now that my smile is amazing. People would say, geez, John, your teeth look so great. I never realized my teeth looked so bad before. Now I take a look at the before and after pictures and I'm amazed.
Go to Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire, or visit their website, perfectsmiles.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart, no doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person. Never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, obviously.
Winter or summer?
Summer. Good Lord. Why would you want winter? It's cold and it's dark. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't you have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like five people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, I because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
I want to know all these people, I know they're Democrats with press passes, but the people who are gushing toward the farce, have they ever sat in a courtroom and listened to an opening argument? Have they ever been on a jury? We try to think about that. I didn't want to be a juror, but it's my civic duty. Everybody's got to do it. I won't be able to renew my driver's license if I don't go. That's what they threaten you.
And you're always thinking to yourself, Howie, well, hopefully it'll be an interesting case.
Yeah. And then the judge says, okay, we're going to have opening arguments for the next month. Mr. Schiff, he's the prosecutor. He's going to take 24 hours. for his opening argument. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. 844-500-4242. Let's see. Here now, and then it's even worse though. Schiff was making a joke about senators being imprisoned for not. Listen to this. Cut 4. Play cut 4.
I also want to again take this opportunity to thank the senators for their long and considerable attention over the course of the last 2 days. I'm not sure the Chief Justice is fully aware of just how rare it is, how extraordinary it is for the House members to be able to command the attention of senators sitting silently for hours, or even for minutes for that matter. Of course, it doesn't hurt that the morning starts out every day with a sergeant at arms warning you that if you don't, you will be in prison. It's our hope that when the trial concludes, and you've heard us and you've heard the President's counsel over a series of long days, that you don't choose imprisonment instead of anything further.
I could have sworn they were in prison. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, just listening to 47 seconds of that.
Prison or hell?
Does he think he's funny? He's no Jerry Seinfeld. That stand-up was very weak.
Woody Allen.
Why are the senators falling asleep?
Woody Allen.
Why can't they stay awake?
Woody Allen summed this up best many, many years ago in the movie Bananas, cut 23.
I object, Your Honor. This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
That sums it up. 844-500-4242. Tom, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Tom.
Howie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Howie, okay. So listen to this. Just a little funny thing here. Adam Stiff and Jerry Cadler. Have you seen a picture of Jerry Adler? You see what he looks? He's a short little guy that wants to be a Don wannabe.
I know. You know, somebody, a texter said this. They're Laurel and Hardy. I think they're more like Abbott and Costello. And of course, Nadler is Costello. You know, but he's not even Lou Costello. He's more like the Penguin in Batman, isn't he? Thanks for the call.
They're kind of like the bandits in Home Alone.
Yeah,
one's tall and skinny, the other's shorter.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the basis for any successful comedy duo.
Yeah,
yeah.
Except Adam Schiff is the straight man. He cannot deliver a punchline.
Yeah, and the bug eyes too. I mean, can't he get some Visine or something? Or can't they bring in? Can't they bring in Senator Menendez's friend from West Palm Beach, the ophthalmologist, give him something for his eyes? I mean, he'd be better off with having droopy eyes, eyelids coming down like he was, rather than those bug eyes. It's scary. It really is. Let's see here, John. You're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Howie, how you doing?
Good.
You know, I'm only interested in, and I can't wait to hear Alan Dershowitz get up there when the Trump team goes. I think if he gets to go on his diatribe like everyone else is on the Democrat side, I know Dershowitz is a Democrat, but his encyclopedic knowledge of the Constitution, the applicable laws and the reason to use impeachment, the distortion.
He's so fast on his feet too. That's the other thing, John. I keep reading these so-called experts saying, well, Schiff can handle Dershowitz. I don't think so. I've seen Dershowitz in a number of these venues, and there's no way Schiff can. Schiff is just this fanatic, and he lies too. Dershowitz will call him out. I mean, I don't care if there's nobody to, there's no impartial arbiter, because Roberts is just there. He's as much of a victim as Feinstein or Paul. I mean, he's been dragooned into this thing too. But I mean, Dershowitz and these guys are not going to let Schiff get away with this. Did you see at the end of last night, Sekulow came down and he talked to the reporters for about 10 or 15 minutes, and he was acting like a real lawyer, on the courthouse steps. He was just answering the questions succinctly, briefly, in soundbite fashion. That's what you're supposed to do. These guys go on and on and on. Go ahead, John.
What was I going to say? I agree with you, and I did see that. Dershowitz is going to eviscerate them, and I believe it's going to be something potentially historical when we see not necessarily that he's going to speak on behalf of Trump, but his knowledge of the Constitution, the applicable laws, the distortion that Democrats are distorting impeachment. I think it could be historical.
Yeah.
And something really that kids should even should see how awful and disgraceful and dishonest this entire Democrat Party is. I know we teach that to our children in our family and extended family, how dishonest Democrats are.
I know, John. I was making sport of it, the fact, but they are trashing the Bill of Rights, one after another. This is serious stuff that they're doing. They don't think you and I have any rights. We voted the wrong way. They don't want us to. Schiff said it. Play cut number 2. I mean, this is really the way they think. Cut 2.
The president's misconduct cannot be decided at the ballot box, for we cannot be assured that the vote will be fairly won.
So if they lose, it's unfair. Mm-hmm. If they lose, it's rigged. Unless they say, we don't believe in the Constitution. We believe in a living Constitution. That means we're making it up as we go along. We don't want the First Amendment anymore because it means that deplorables have the right to buy ads, and freedom of religion, we don't believe in freedom of religion except for our religion, which is climate change or secular humanism. We don't believe in your right to freedom of religion. We don't believe in your right to freedom of assembly. Like there was a guy, one of the Democrats in Richmond after the rally on Monday by the pro-Second Amendment crowd, he said it was terrorism. So if they disagree with us, we're racist. Even if we're black, you're a racist if you disagree with them. If you want to prevent them from trashing the Constitution, you're a terrorist. This is the way they think. They have no concern about the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, the Eighth Amendment, now the Eighth Amendment. I mean, seriously, this is cruel and unusual punishment. 844-500-4242. This is about the Democrats creating a narrative to sway the public. Who are they swaying? I don't think they're swaying anybody. I don't think this works. And then we come back to Schiff with Russia. He's like this guy. He has no case, so he goes back to an old case, and there's no judge or no lawyer for the other side who can stand up and say, objection, Your Honor. My client has already been acquitted of this crime. This is double jeopardy. Cut 1.
Russian activity and disinformation. Russian military agency, Russia alone, Russian forces, President Putin's Russian expansionism, the Russians. The Russians, Russia, Russia's, not Russia, the Kremlin, the Kremlin, the Russian, Russia. When the president said, hey, Russia, if you're listening, they were listening. Russia.
844-500-4242. We got all these clowns talking about how great they were. This is just preposterous here. Let's see here. Cut 19. This is Pam Bondi, one of the president's lawyers, the former attorney general of the state of Florida. Pam Bondi, cut 19.
They've been saying, let's not forget why we are here. Well, we're here tonight because they threw due process, fundamental fairness, and our Constitution out the window in the House proceedings. That's why we're here, because they started in the secret bunker hearings where the president and his counsel weren't even allowed to participate when they're trying to impeach him. Intel and judiciary committees was a one-sided circus.
Again, the Sixth Amendment. You have the right to confront your accuser. And in this case, the accuser doesn't even have any firsthand knowledge. The accuser is peddling hearsay. How many times have you been in court? Your Honor, I object. The witness is producing hearsay. This is hearsay that the witness is recounting. The witness has no firsthand knowledge of what he's testifying to. Objection overruled. The jury is directed to disregard the previous testimony. That's the way it works in real life, in a real courtroom. I'm not a lawyer. I've been a defendant enough. I've been in a courtroom so many times. I know how it works. This is not how it's supposed to work. This is not, and I understand this is not a trial per se, but this is not fair either. You know, they always, it's unfair that we don't get to railroad the bad man who's president. He does things we don't like. So we have the right to railroad him and all of his supporters, all 63 million people who voted for him. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
A nightmare to liberals everywhere. He's Howie Carr.
This portion of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Life Change Tea, the tea that makes you go. Go to getthetea.com.
As the 2020 presidential campaigns heat up, there's plenty of talk about what's best for the country. The question is, at what cost and who will be impacted by any of the proposed ideas? If you're near retirement, you need to make sure your portfolio is ready for whatever happens. Call Kevin Frisbee of Frisbee & Associates for a no-cost, no-obligation analysis of your current plan. Call 800-989-9100. Kevin and his team will stress test your portfolio to discover any hidden fees. They can help develop a solid income plan that will make sure you never run out of money, despite what the politicians might have in mind. What about Social Security? When to claim is a huge decision. Kevin is there to create a plan that gives you options to maximize your benefits. Schedule your free consultation now. 800-989-9100. And catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday afternoon as he reviews the market. 800-989-9100. 800-989-9100.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. You get a lot of patients, I'm sure, who are apprehensive about veneers. What are some of the questions and fears you get when you're dealing with new patients?
Some people think they could look too fake, but true cosmetic dentistry is incredibly detail-oriented. So we put a lot of time and effort into individualizing how the smile looks, and we really make them look natural, but very, very pleasant.
You know, people are concerned. They wonder, I got my teeth. Do I really want to put caps on?
Exactly. Yeah, they think they'll have that Hollywood look or fake look, but the technology that we have available and the artistry that we can create now really makes things so natural that most people, in fact, most dentists are just surprised that we can create what we can create nowadays. Everyone is different. Everyone has different facial dimensions, different bone structure, and we do everything we can to individualize treatment because there is no one perfect smile. It is your perfect smile.
Dr. Houghton, where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in, the worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places.
This is Alex from East Bridgewater, Mass.
This is Ann in Saco, Maine.
This is John Zuko from Hanson, Mass. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. I believe Roger Stone is in the building here in Boca Raton, and we're going to try to get him on after the top of the hour, and we'll do Grace at 4:30. We'll have her news at 4:30. Right now, we're joined as we are at this time every Thursday afternoon by Kevin Frisbee. He is the financial wizard of the Howie Carr Show, and he's here to talk about the financial markets. Kevin, sometimes I think the stock market overreacts to incidents, and today the market's down supposedly because of this outbreak of an infectious disease in China. I mean, should the market really be down because of this?
Well, by the way, the market's now rebounded, and we're positive. We just turned positive. We're pretty flat on the Dow. So, yeah, we're 200 and something odd points down this morning because of this coronavirus. I mean, I have some friends that have a coronavirus, but it's not probably from China.
Yeah, I'm used to. They keep talking about coronaviruses. I keep thinking, does this affect the limes too that go into the long necks?
Yeah, you're right though, Howie. The markets do react sometimes quick and negatively. It's a normal thing. Some people just want to take some risk off when something like that happens. Not saying that the markets will continue to rebound, but at the end of the day, the markets run on emotion a lot of times.
Right. I think though that there is not much reaction to this farce that's going on Capitol Hill, though, is there?
Oh no, there hasn't been since the beginning, and we continue to melt up all through the beginning of the year. We're up 3.5% so far year to date, and basically the market's ignoring everything going on in Washington, as it should. I mean, that's all noise in the backdrop. Our money managers go by strictly data. They don't even watch the news. So that's a good thing. You want to have data-driven investment advisors.
I think I'd be selling short on my network TV stocks, though, if they have to keep preempting the soap operas. I'd rather be watching the TV spots for the ambulance chasers than Adam Schiff. He's a different kind of shady lawyer, and Nadler. Not that I'd trust him to fight a parking ticket for me.
It's something else, right? I mean, barely watch it myself. It's pretty sickening stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is. So what else is going on? What offers are you making for our listeners? What is your toll-free number if people have any financial questions or want to get any of your services that you offer with no obligations?
Sure. The 800 number is 800-989-9100. I thought it could be appropriate. I dug out a couple-year-old article that we'll give out to all the callers today. It's called Developing a Personalized Retirement Bunker Mentality. And it was kind of a summary from a guy, Rick Buter, that wrote a book a few years back called Build Your Bunker. So if something does happen and we have a coronavirus epidemic here in the United States, the market starts down, you can build your bunker right now and be set up and ready for that.
Yeah. That's what you want at all times. So how do people get the pamphlet or the story about building a financial bunker for themselves? How do they get that?
They can call us up. We'll email it to them, send it in the mail, whatever they'd like, but they can call us and reach us at 1-800-989-9100.
And you always, of course, offer the analysis of anybody's portfolio, and you'll do that gratis. You just have to call in, and that can be done on the phone or online. Correct?
It can be. That's right. Be done on the phone, online, and we're doing quite a lot of appointments actually down through Massachusetts, up to over in Connecticut, even some callers from your show. So if anybody wants to call, we certainly sit down with somebody. No obligation, no cost to do that analysis.
I'm in Florida right now, Kevin, and I just see there's a building boom. It's it's probably like it was back in the 1920s before the great crash. I mean, they have these booms in Florida, and I think we're in one now. And now I think it's driven, not just by the good, can't get out of those states fast enough. I mean, that's part of your financial bunker too, isn't it? Getting out of these high tax states before you retire.
Listen, it is, Howie, and coming from Maine right now, and we're having a Governor Janet Mills that is just a tax and spend liberal is basically what she is, and starting the term she did the State of the Union tonight, spend and spend and spend. There's a reason people are moving out of the state in droves, and other states like New York and California for sure.
Yeah, and at least Janet Mills is skeptical of the Transportation Climate Initiative, TCI, like all the other governors of the New England states, except for Charlie Baker and maybe Gina Raimondo. But what's your number again, Kevin? If people, and what's your website?
1-800-989-9100 and frisbeebenefits.com.
Never too early to get out of New England. I'm Howie Carr.
Around this time of year, people often say to us, "Hey, Matthews Brothers, happy birthday. You look great for your age, and how the heck does a company stay in business for so long anyway?" We usually respond by paraphrasing Joe Biden and say 2 words: do your job. It takes a lot of people to produce our wicked, awesome made windows, and not all of us are on the production line. We have people paying bills and collecting bills, people ordering material and counting material, salespeople on the road and salespeople in the office, people maintaining the computer network that keeps us all running, and even people making stupid radio commercials. And the reason we have so many people is because there are so many jobs to do. And without each and every one of these people doing their job, the windows don't get made. Okay, we could probably do it without this stupid radio commercial guy, but not the rest. You can see the wicked, awesome made results of our teamwork, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Would you say you're more like your mom or your dad?
No, I don't think I ended up being like either of them, now that I think about it. My mother worked hard, but she never really learned how to make a lot of money. And my father didn't work so hard, but he had a good personality. He was good with people. He was better than me with people. That's why I'm saying I'm not like either one of them, I don't think.
Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother, a younger brother.
What was the subject in school?
Well, all kinds of history. I loved all kinds of history.
If you could have 3 houses besides the ones you already have, anywhere in the world, where would they be?
I wouldn't mind having another house in Palm Beach on Clark Avenue. Maybe a place in southern Maine. I don't need a third place.
Didn't you already have a house in Maine?
I did. It was on an island. It was not a good fit for the mailroom manager.
I've heard the house was haunted. Is that true?
Yes. And, my wife didn't really care that much for my relatives. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word? Poop. Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop?
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I'm not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt B has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that Her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Thank you, New England, for supporting Music Drives Us. Since 2006, we have used the power of music to benefit communities throughout the 6 states of New England. During this time, we've proudly supported more than 200 schools and donated upwards of 1,000 instruments. And this year, we're getting ready to donate all over again. Our work is made possible through your continued support of our musical mission. Whether you donated, volunteered at our events, attended our concerts, or engaged with us on social media, thank you. We hope you'll stay tuned with what we have in store for this year because it'll be our best year yet. Visit us at musicdrivesus.org. That's musicdrivesus.org. Or follow us at Music Drives Us on social. Together, we can keep music in our schools.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit cards over and over again, and she keeps busting in and using them again. Most recently, just this week, she spent $75 at AT&T.
What's the cheapest thing you do now to save money?
The cheapest thing I do currently to save money, I guess, is I take all the bottles and cans back to the market basket every weekend. I always like to save that money. You know, I can't stand to throw those bottles and cans away and have the unclaimed returns go to the state of Massachusetts for illegal aliens.
Do you recycle?
Yes, I do recycle. When I got on the town meeting, I saw that the town dump was probably the only department in the town that was running in the black, and it's because of all the recycling that was going on. So I try to keep my taxes down that way.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
He's the co-sponsor of the Green New Deal, so what better time to play some of his greatest hits? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Frosty.
This is going to be a mission to save all of creation.
If you want to ignore that these changes are taking place and that they're having a dramatic impact, then you are in the right place.
Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock? Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock, Senator?
Well, here is the thing.
You don't. How long has your family been in Massachusetts?
We are new arrivals. And
Mr. President, American history was made last night. The Boston Patriots won the Super Bowl.
When the Second Amendment was written in order to maintain a well-regulated militia, they did not have in mind that people could purchase guns indiscriminately. The president is acting like Pontius Pilate.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Can you remember any time in your life when you were starstruck?
One time I saw Peter Vesey, the NBA columnist for the New York Post. He was in the Herald sports department. I really liked his column, so I went up and introduced myself to him. Then one time there was Cousin Brucey from WABC, and I used to listen to him driving back and forth between Chapel Hill and Deerfield when I was in college. Everybody on the East Coast listened to him. I couldn't believe that I was in the presence of Cousin Brucey.
Do you ever play bridge anymore?
No, I haven't played bridge in a very long time. Nobody I know plays bridge. I think my bridge days are...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The president's misconduct cannot be decided at the ballot box, for we cannot be assured that the vote will be fairly won.
It was a virtuoso performance.
I thought Schiff's performance was a virtuoso performance yesterday.
Adam Schiff did masterfully what all prosecutors are trained to do.
You mean live?
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
His closing speech is one of the tour de forces that I have seen in my decades here.
Pucker up, Chuck.
A good number of my Republican colleagues heard the entire arguments powerfully, succinctly.
Almost 2.5 hours
Succinctly.
by Adam Schiff.
There is a lot of extraneous information in there that wouldn't be admissible in court. If you're just an average citizen trying to get a handle on this thing, I think it was really hard to follow. And nobody's going to listen to a 2.5-hour speech. Nobody's going to listen to a full hour speech.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
You're supposed to believe Adam Schiff today and everything he's saying. Remember, this is the guy who said we have more than circumstantial evidence. Adam Schiff said the Nunes memo was false. Adam Schiff said you can trust the FISA court. Adam Schiff told us we look forward to hearing from the whistleblower. Adam Schiff said we've had no contact with the whistleblower. We just talked for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we're supposed to believe everything he said today.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Adam Schiff's arguments to open the day today directly drew into question Hunter Biden and made not only his testimony relevant, which it already was, but it is now critical.
How did Hunter Biden get $1.5 billion to invest when he'd been in business for 60 days from China? Joe Biden's one of the finest men I know, but he's got to explain this.
Why? You're getting nervous, man.
You're the one who's nervous.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Welcome to the Howie Carr Show. And if you'd like to join us, the toll-free number is always 844-500-4242. If you've been watching Newsmax for a while, in the last hour, you saw with John Cardillo, Roger Stone. I saw Roger Stone. I've talked to him on the phone many times, but I've never been with him in person. And I saw him. I wanted him to come on the show and just continue the conversation. He was kind enough to come on, so we're going to have him with us for the first segment of the show. We'll have Grace later on. But Roger Stone, I know you can't discuss your legal travails, but I appreciate you being with us. And I know you've been involved in campaigns going back to the days of Richard Nixon. And can you just give us a general take on what's going on on Capitol Hill with this trial?
Well, Howie, first of all, I'm a New Englander. I'm from Connecticut, and you are a radio legend where I come from. So the honor today is all mine. I think the Democratic Party is in tough shape. It is very clear to me that the socialist wing is now in the driver's seat. The corporate so-called moderate wing is almost extinct. There is panic among the Democrats about the fact that Bernie Sanders would win both Iowa and New Hampshire if they were held today. Their antics in impeachment demonstrate that they have no issues to run on. They have no plan for the economy, no plan for immigration, no plan for infrastructure. They have no platform other than we hate Donald Trump. And that's not a winner. That's a losing argument. I think every time I see MSNBC or NBC or CNN, the distortionists, not journalists, distortionists say, "Oh, Mitch McConnell he's threatening his majority with by opposing impeachment." No, Nancy Pelosi is threatening her majority by this runaway train.
Yeah, I remember when they had the vote on the first Iraq war. They, the Stephen Solars, the Democrat House manager, they made a decision. They said Joe Kennedy from Massachusetts and Barbara Boxer, then the congresswoman from California, were such odious politicians that they wanted to have them out front like that, and that so the American people could see how bad they were. And I think that's what the Democrats are doing to themselves now. I mean, Mitch McConnell, I think, is handling this pretty well, don't you?
Well, first of all, the American people just don't seem to be tuned into this. When you go out and you talk, and I'm now kind of universally recognized wherever I go. Thank you, CNN. Nobody wants to talk to me about impeachment. I'll tell you what they want to talk to me about: the Trump economy, how well this president has done, particularly in the face of the intractable opposition, let's be honest about it, of the elites of the two-party duopoly that have run this country into the ground. What he's been able to achieve, given the daily vituperation and the assaults and the derision of the fake news media on him and his family every day, and the guy just lets it roll down his back.
Who's going to be the Democrat nominee against them?
Let's talk about who it's not going to be. It's not going to be Joe Biden. It's very important to understand that looking at the national poll numbers is a waste of time, because they will be affected by the results of the early contests. They will change literally overnight. So Joe Biden being out front in the national polls is literally meaningless. If you look at any of the polls in Iowa and New Hampshire, the top three are almost invariably Senator Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, and Pocahontas. And Joe Biden will be lucky to squeeze in fourth. Now, Iowa's different than New Hampshire because Iowa is a caucus, and people don't understand. It's not like you just show up and you vote and you leave like we're used to in a primary.
Right.
You have to be willing on a very cold winter night, to go to an Elks Hall or a firehouse or a
basement
library
of a church,
or a library
Yeah.
or the basement of a church or a high school gymnasium and stay for 2 to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a second round of voting. So if your candidate, say Andrew Yang or Amy Klobuchar or so sadly he's gone, Cory Booker, don't score in the first round, then you get to vote for your second choice. And that's how the caucuses will
Or you go
decide.
home.
And that's the problem. The Biden supporters have no intensity. Most of them, their average age is deceased. They're just not going to stay there for 3 hours. If he can round them up, he has trouble mustering a crowd as it is.
Right.
And Sanders people have intensity. They have enthusiasm. They have drive. They know they were cheated out of this 4 years ago. It's theirs now. I still see him emerging from the early contests.
I keep waiting for some of the Bernie bros to try to bust him out. I mean, he's basically in stir with the rest of them there.
Well, you know, they, as you know, and you can read this any place you like, Roger Stone, the self-described dirty trickster. I've never called myself that. Roger Stone, the self-proclaimed dirty trickster. I've never described myself that. I actually bludgeoned the LA Times into a retraction. But if I am one, then I know one when I see one. And what CNN did to Bernie Sanders is one of the worst dirty tricks of all time.
You mean the debate last week?
Yeah. Well, it's not. It was this. First, let's go to the setup. Elizabeth Warren leaks a story to CNN in a big exclusive that in a private conversation overheard by no one and recorded by no one, Bernie Sanders told her a woman cannot be elected president. CNN now reports this as a fact. And they say it's not a he said, she said situation when that's exactly what it would be if it really happened. Sanders denies it immediately. Then we go to the debate and the moderator says, Senator Sanders, why did you tell Elizabeth Warren that a woman could never be elected president? As if she hadn't read his denial the day before.
Right.
He denies it again. And then the moderator goes to Senator Warren and says, so how did you feel when Bernie Sanders said a woman couldn't be elected president, as if she didn't just hear his denial. And then to top it all off, they put a hot mic on her and they let her go up to him and say, "You just called me a liar on national TV."
Right.
A setup. Look, I don't get my news from CNN.
And this wasn't what happened. This after the 2016 election, where Donna Brazile, who's now on Fox, leaked the questions to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
so she was prepared, but Bernie wasn't.
Look, I don't get my news from CNN for the same reason I don't eat out of the toilet. They're not by any stretch of the imagination a news organization. They're propagandists. They're distortionists. They're not even in touch with reality.
Look what Joe Lockhart did yesterday, the former Clinton press secretary. He made up this conversation between two Republican senators, which was preposterous on its face, and said they were really worried now that they were hearing this toward the force from Adam Schiff. And then he had to retract it 9 minutes later, but he said, well, that's what they're thinking. So he's a mind reader, Roger.
Look, I'm not saying that there aren't a few folks at CNN who I actually like, because there are.
There are. Name one.
Well, I can't, because they would get fired almost immediately. But overall, you can see it in their ratings. Nobody's watching this garbage because it's just a constant line of Democratic propaganda. And they keep recycling the same thing over and over and over again. Wait a minute, big story. The Ukrainian gas company Burisma was hacked by the Russians. How do we know this? Well, some Democratic-based IT firm in California says so. They keep recycling the same garbage over and over again. Never ends.
Yeah, they how about MSNBC? What's your take on MSNBC?
Well, first of all, they are leaving CNN in the dust. That tells you something right there.
Fox is number one and MSNBC is number three, and CNN is somewhere down around the Golf Channel.
Ari Melber is one of the most odious folks I've ever met. His personal heroes in life, Elliot Spitzer and Eric Schneiderman. This guy has no regard whatsoever for
client number 9 and client number 10
for the truth. They're delusional, particularly Rachel Maddow. Delusional, but
how about Lawrence O'Donnell, our fellow New England?
Just give him another drink.
Stop the hammering.
Just give him another drink. Look, what's interesting though is that the hard left is now gravitating to MSNBC and leaving CNN behind, because MSNBC's ratings have certainly ticked up. But it's all fake news. The president's exactly right. I love it when he points them out at the rally. All that back there, the fake news. I love that.
Is he going to win re-election?
It's going to be much tougher than he thinks it is. It's not that he isn't well positioned. He is. It's not that he's not a great communicator. He's the best. It's not that he isn't a terrific campaigner. Look at these rallies. But I think he has to take into consideration the left's capacity for massive voter fraud. We live in ground zero in Florida of voter fraud. The fake registrations in Orlando and Tampa and elsewhere in the state are going on even as we speak. I'm getting reports of them. They're going to vote a bunch of people who are not qualified to vote. The president needs to recognize this, and his Justice Department needs to take steps. I favor putting an ICE agent at every polling place. I think that would have a very deleterious effect on things. And then the other big problem, the great obstacle, is internet censorship. I happen to believe that the president's tweets and the president's posts on Facebook and Instagram are probably getting millions of more followers than we're really being told. And I think even he's being shadow banned to some extent. So the kneecapping of conservatives, libertarians, Republicans, Trump supporters, anybody who's not a liberal on these social media platforms really takes away the amplifier, the megaphone effect for the president. And I think that's really what got him elected in 2016.
Roger Stone, we really appreciate you being with us. It's good to finally have you here in person with me, and best of luck.
Great honor to be here.
Future, we appreciate it. Thanks, Roger. Do you or a loved one have trouble hearing over the telephone, or need to turn up the TV volume so loud that others complain, or find it hard to follow conversations at the dinner table or in a restaurant? Let's face it, hearing problems can be embarrassing. That's why Hearing Help Express takes away the anguish and embarrassment of hearing loss. Better Hearing has never been so convenient and affordable, with simple to use, hard to see, and easy to afford hearing aids and professional care delivered right to your own home. And the best part, Hearing Help Express cuts down the middleman, saving you over 50% and an inconvenient trip to an audiologist's office. Right now, Hearing Help Express is offering a free, no obligations hearing loss information kit that includes a hearing assessment with special offers and discounts. I love their information kit and have taken the assessment myself. It's fast, easy, and informative. Call Hearing Help Express today at 800-353-5200. Call 800-353-5200. That's 800-353-5200. Use promo code Howie. 800-353-5200. I'm Howie Carr.
He's suave, he's debonair, he's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Best Western Adams Inn in Quincy, with beautiful views of Boston, waterfront restaurant, banquet facilities, and a great park and fly deal. Book direct by calling 617-328-1500. Mention Howie and save 10%.
This is the Howie Carr Show, live from Chappaquiddick at the Party House, 25 years after Chappaquiddick 1969, on WHDH, News Talk 850.
Another bad song from 1969. 742-0850. We're going to take some calls this segment if you want to get on board. If you have any questions for John Farrar, the scuba diver who saw Mary Jo Kopechne's body underwater. The number again, 742-0850. We're going to start talking about the incident and everyone's perceptions. John, let me just get this straight. So now, as far as your belief is that while Ted Kennedy was walking past all these houses back towards the Party House where we're broadcasting from now, Mary Jo was still alive.
That is correct.
And she would have been alive probably for about an hour, you think?
I think that's most reasonable, and if an hour, if not longer, that's correct.
If not, I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dr. Houghton, tell us about the state-of-the-art procedures that can help many people look 10 to 15 years younger.
As we age, we do lose these proper proportions to our faces. And so if you're deficient in your chin or mid-face, we can create the proper proportions and make you look great. Sometimes we use orthodontics to change the look of the face. Sometimes we just use the teeth themselves and it creates the right support for a beautiful face. They're all non-surgical procedures.
There's some pretty complex cases that you deal with. Give me an example of a tough case.
Well, some cases people just are missing a lot of teeth. I get a lot of people that come in and think that I cannot solve their problems because they're too great, but I really can. We've been doing this for over 35 years and there isn't much that we haven't seen.
So even if you're missing a few teeth or your teeth are discolored or you're very embarrassed, there's no reason not to come in for a consultation, right?
Absolutely. New techniques, new technology, things are available to us that we never had before, and we can handle just about everything.
Where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who do you consider the biggest rhino in the Republican Party?
Probably is Paul Ryan. I wish a Republican were still the speaker, but Paul Ryan was scarcely a Republican. And there was a reason he was Mitt Romney's running mate, because we had a rhino ticket in 2012.
Where did the expression, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" come from?
That comes from the State House. There used to be a state rep who sometimes would talk about atrocities that were happening in crime. And he would get up there and he would say, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" And I just picked it up and it became a trademark.
Where's your favorite place to go out to eat in Palm Beach?
My favorite place to go in Palm Beach, a coffee machine that brews each cup of coffee individually.
Hi, this is Val from Longmeadow, Mass.
Hi, this is Tony and Pietra from Haverhill, Massachusetts.
This is Myrnie in Fairfax County, Virginia, and this is the Howie Show.
844-500-4242. He's appealing. He's up for sentencing. He's been convicted of I talk about a trumped up charge, and I mean trumped up. The only reason he's in trouble is because of Trump. His connection to Donald Trump, and they brought him in and they said, "Did you text or email or make a phone call?" And he couldn't remember. I mean, who remembers every phone call or text or email that they make? And they prosecuted him. And it was an Obama judge, and in the Southern District, and just of New York. Just a really terrible thing. And you know what happened with CNN? I mean, CNN got the tip from Mueller's people, and they came in the middle of the night. You know, he wasn't given the courtesy like a Democrat is given to just turn themselves in. They had the SWAT team, the FBI SWAT team. He lived on on some kind of little canal or something, or a small river, and they even had amphibious vehicles, boats coming in. They had helicopters overhead. I mean, it was like he was El Chapo. I mean, it was obscene what they did, and it was strictly set up for the benefit of CNN and more fake news. I mean, it's outrageous what happened to him. Today's poll question is brought to you, and he can't talk about it obviously because it would show up on the it would be used against him in any kind of appeal. So I'm not going to pressure him, but he's a good guy, and he doesn't deserve this when Comey and Brennan and Clapper and the rest of them and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Kleinsmith, the FBI lawyer who falsified the evidence against Carter Page, they're all walking around. McCabe is on CNN. He's a paid contributor to CNN. And the inspector general has outed him as lying under oath 4 times the day he was sworn in. Don't get me started on that. Today's poll question is brought to you by Hearing Help Express. Get your free hearing loss information kit today. Call 1-800-353-5200. That's 1-800-353-5200. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will the Democrats let Hunter Biden testify?
No, I don't. I think that's pretty clear that they're not going to let him testify. They will just settle for this being, thrown out on a straight party line vote with no witnesses, rather than have him or his father testify.
4% say yes.
I tend to agree with Roger Stone too that Biden is doomed. I mean, I'm not sure if Bernie's the one who's going to ultimately win the prize, but I just can't see Biden. I wish we had better sound of the event though with Elizabeth Warren yesterday. I mean, this was amazing what happened. We'll get more into that when Grace does her news. Arthur, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Arthur.
Thanks, Howie. After listening to that interview about Joe Biden, now we know why Obama picked him. But I always wondered why it was. He picked the most corrupt guy he could find to go along with how corrupt he was.
I tell you, though, did you hear Schweitzer yesterday talking about all the money that the Bidens have made? And I was thinking about it all ever since that interview. Have I underestimated Joe Biden? Is his senile demeanor just a clever ruse to lull us, while he's ripping us off?
No, it's Dr. I'm saying he has a doctor who he's married to, Dr. Jill. He's got brains in the family.
He's married to, she's not an MD. To me, to be a doctor, you have to be an MD. She's a PhD. Well, piled higher and deeper, Grace. That's what a PhD is.
Well, she's piled higher and deeper in knowledge than Joe Biden.
Arthur, don't you think that the Bidens seem to, in terms of a crime family and selling protection, they're right up there with the Clintons, aren't they?
Well, they certainly are, Howie. And you've heard me many times say that these people are worse than organized crime because when they rob money from everybody. Senior citizens, right. People who need assistance, the military, they are the lowest of the low when they steal money, which is what they've done. They've sold this country. Them and the Clintons have sold this country out to everybody. And where's the press? Don't they like to go after corruption?
Yeah, I know. Why is Joe? The New York Times used to publicize Schweitzer's work, but they're not doing it with this book. Profiles in corruption. They won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I'm Howie Carr.
This is for my listeners who are still suffering from hair loss and thinning hair. I recently met up with the doctors at New England Center for Hair Restoration, and I was amazed at their consistent results. After hearing my story about hair loss, the the doctors agreed to offer the first 40 listeners of my show an initial hair transplant procedure for only $6,000. You heard me right. New England Center for Hair Restoration is offering my listeners this exclusive opportunity to get a hair transplant procedure for the unbelievable price of $6,000. That's a savings of $4,000 for qualifying patients. If you've always wanted a hair restoration and couldn't afford it, New England Center for Hair Restoration is where you want to go. A hair transplant procedure for $6,000 for the first 40 people. This offer won't last long. For those who qualify, third-party financing is available with monthly payments as low as $119. Call 800-313-HAIR for your free consultation. That's 800-313-HAIR. Call 800-313-HAIR.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow?
I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in.
I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year because I've destroyed her political career and now I won't get a chance to run against her and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
John, what happened at Perfect Smiles when you went?
The initial consultation was easy. In the past, they just hand me a clipboard to fill out the forms, but that's not how it worked at Perfect Smiles. What was nice was it was a true consultation. They asked me my medical history, what I wanted to get out of the treatment plan. For me, I lived with TMJ. I'd literally have to crack my jaw throughout the day to relieve the pressure. I'd get headaches throughout the day. I'd be in pain. When I was at Perfect Smiles, they asked me what I wanted to get out of the treatment. As a joke, I just said, geez, I'd love you to be able to fix my TMJ. And I was surprised because Dr. Houghton specializes in working with patients like me that have TMJ.
What were the results of visiting Dr. Houghton at Perfect Smiles?
Not only did I walk out of that office with a perfect smile, but he fixed my TMJ. It was a life-changing event. People tell me now that my smile's amazing. People would say, geez, John, your teeth look so great. I never realized my teeth looked so bad before. Now I take a look at the before and after pictures and I'm amazed.
Go to Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire, or visit their website, perfectsmiles.com. I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
He says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes. We're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second? Control room? So that's not gunshots? Okay.
Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically in that way, he shouldn't talk about the first lady that way. We aren't all here to make salads for men. It's disgusting.
I mean, I'm presuming he was talking about Karen Pence when he said second lady.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. Not Montana. I'm talking about never mind.
Yeah, no,
Ignore me.
I mean, that's
I was getting Montana and North Dakota confused because, I don't know, I just was.
I'm the vice president of the United States.
Love him or hate him, Joe Biden's here for the long haul, but we can't get enough of his gaffes. The best of Uncle Joe's speaking before he thinks.
We choose truth over facts.
When the stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television.
Make sure you have the record player on at night. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Okay, all right. Look, you can crack with me later, okay?
The teachers I recall, I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
I can tell you, and I've known 8 presidents. 3 of the minimum. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me. Had over 40 kids shot at Kent State on a beautiful lawn. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? I said something that was not meant the way I said. I mean, what is it that I said wrong? I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. We had a chance to get Roger Stone on the air, so we moved Grace's news back to after the bottom of the hour break, and so now it's time for Grace's news.
How dare you? I was okay with the bump because I was also excited to have Roger Stone on the show. Very nice, by the way. Sometimes you don't know because people are on air and people don't get to see them off air, but he's a very nice man.
Yes.
Okay, so
hope he gets a pardon.
Oh, don't we all? Let's get to the news. I want to start with Elizabeth Warren. She had a very interesting confrontation yesterday, I think it was, with a voter who basically said what we've all been asking, which is, what about the people who paid off their kids' student loans or their own student loans?
Her pander de jour, or her pander of the week, is that she says she's going to use an executive order to erase trillions of dollars in student loan debt.
Cancel
when she becomes
it all.
President.
And of course it's like, it says something like, oh, up to 50 grand for people who make under this, and all these regulations.
And if you're in public service,
right?
And they don't mean the military. They mean community advocates is what they mean.
So this guy was great, and he said to her, I paid off my daughter's student loans. I did it the right way. I didn't go on vacations. I didn't buy cars. I worked two shifts so I could pay off her student loans. Am I going to get money back? And she said, of course not. And he said, so I'm a sucker, basically is what he said. I'm paraphrasing. And then he was upset. And then she just stood there, and to her credit, she didn't lie. She said, of course not, which I thought in a panic, she might say, yes, you'll get money too. But
honest engine, you'll get your money back.
But this is the problem with all of her plans is eventually someone has to pay for the free stuff. And in this case, it would be guys like that who planned and saved and paid off things the right way.
Didn't he say you're playing me for a chump? Didn't he? I think he said that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The audio was a little tough towards the end.
That's why we don't have. We have it's there out on the internet, but it's not. It's really not usable on the radio or the TV.
But you should really go and watch it if you have Twitter or if you have YouTube and stuff like that.
She tried to shake his hand at the end, and he just walked away. He was disgusted.
It's just so typical. When they get confronted with a real problem from taxpayers and people who do things the right way, those are the people who are going to get screwed. That's the message here. Is you are a sucker. And my mom used to say to me, I would say, oh, maybe I'll save up all my money and pay off all my student loans at once. And she said, don't do that, because if one of these crazies gets in, they're going to cancel them all. Then what good did that do you, paying it all off at once?
So craziness. All these people that acted irresponsibly and took out all these loans that they could never repay or would take them 30 years to repay to get degrees in totally, I hate to say it, totally worthless so-called disciplines, which require no discipline to get. They're gonna be rewarded.
Yeah, and the other thing I don't appreciate is this idea that everyone had a gun to their head who went to college. You know what you can afford, and sure, like some people work really hard and they get a second job and they take a class here and a class there and they make it work. But if you're going in and you're getting a $200,000 education, no one's forcing you to do that. That's a personal choice. It might be harder for you, but that's a personal choice.
And why are you making a decision to get a $200,000 education that's not going to deliver any bang for your buck? I mean, I mean, not to be crass about it. A liberal education in the traditional sense of the word is something to cherish, but they're not getting that liberal education. They're just getting indoctrinated into becoming a Bernie bro.
And you can pay. I know some people have a lot bigger loans than other people, but you just have to pay them off bit by bit. That's how it works. That's how debt works. You pay it off.
Like
that's
a mortgage,
how loans work.
Or a car payment.
It just doesn't make sense that we're all of a sudden going to cancel this. And
can I? Yeah, there's the other thing. So someone's going to have their student loans canceled. Can you get your mortgage canceled? Can you get your car payment canceled?
Right.
Can you just stiff the credit card company? I mean, what's the difference? It's debt.
Their argument is, like education is a right. Well, isn't housing, if we're going to go based off that, what about a house? Like you said, isn't all that necessary stuff? It just
I
doesn't
wanted
end.
I wanted to go on vacation. Don't I have a right to go on vacation and put it on my credit card? Why should I have to pay for that?
And it's funny because you'll notice this trend where when people say, oh, free this, free that, the people who are paying it off the right way, or the people who are good people doing the right thing, are always the ones who don't want the free stuff because they know it doesn't make sense. People who pay a lot for healthcare, they don't want free healthcare because they're thinking to themselves, listen, yeah, it stinks that I have to pay so much for healthcare, but I know that I don't want the alternative.
Yeah.
I want to keep paying to get some sort of quality here.
If you don't pay it off, somebody else is going to have to pay it off.
Exactly. On to my next bit of news, which is Hillary Clinton defends her ties to Harvey Weinstein.
How was she to know that he was a sexual predator? I mean, she doesn't exactly have a fine-tuned nose for sniffing out sexual predators, you know?
Right. And if she's
there's her husband. Her husband hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, hon, Hillary, I'm leaving for the weekend. I'm going down on the Lolita Express to Orgy Island with Jeffrey Epstein and a bunch of 15-year-old girls. Oh, okay, honey.
Someone says, so the guy pays off his daughter's student loans, and now he has to pay off everyone's daughter's student loans.
That's why the guy's angry. Do you blame him?
No, it's crazy. No, so back to Hillary Clinton here. I just think it's funny because her answer was, how could we have known? He raised money for me, for the Obamas, for Democrats in general.
How could she have known? Didn't what's her name? Lena Dunham or whatever her name is. Didn't she tell her back in 2017 that this guy was a mega perv?
I don't know, Howie, but I think a better answer going off of what you said would be, listen, if I'm not going to divorce my husband, I'm not going to turn away money from a perv who's a friend of mine. It's not like I'm married to him.
What happened to his wheelchair, by the way, or his walker? Has he had a miraculous recovery? Did he put his hand on the radio? Did he go to Lourdes? What happened? I mean, he's not. He walks into court now that the trial has started, and he's under his own power.
Well, you know, people have ebbs and flows in their health.
Okay, I guess it didn't work out. You know, like Ted Kennedy after Chappaquiddick, he put the neck brace on for a couple of days. It wasn't doing well in the focus group, so he didn't use it. He said, "Patches, you can have it. My kid can have it when he's in a jam."
Howie, that was my favorite part of the Chappaquiddick movie when they just showed a close up of him with all the people, the experts behind. And he goes, "I know the neck brace was a bad idea," and they're all like, "Yeah, we told you that."
Yes, we have pictures of both Ted and his son in the neck braces in my book, Kennedy Babylon, Volume 1.
Oh, so guys, speaking of...
Available at HowieCarrShow.com. Click on store.
Speaking of news here, this is something... So I go on Free Beacon a lot, and I look at the video montages, and they've had one up for so long, and they forgot to put the video with it. But I had it in my mind, and it said, Pete Buttigieg, everything's personal for Pete. And so I figured, you know how everyone has little phrases they go back to? Like I say honestly a lot by accident, and then I also say I think that whatever. People have little things, that habits. Pete's habit is saying it's personal for me. So let's play this supercut of Pete Buttigieg. This is cut 20.
Well, that's right. This issue's personal for me. That's why we're going to tackle climate from day one.
What will you do about student debt?
So this one's pretty personal for us. The Supreme Court is very personal for me. College affordability is personal for us. This one's very personal for me. For me, those lessons of the past are personal. I have a very personal stake in issues from that to the debt and the deficits. You know, for me, this is personal. This is personal for me because they're personal. Because people like me have a personal stake. You know, for me, the question of what the world is going to look like, that's not a theoretical question. That's a personal question. Politics is very personal for me. You know, there's a very personal stake for me, for my generation. These are personal questions. Remember, this is personal.
Is he a personal people person?
People person.
Did you see? There was another story today. This guy, he's a Iranian American, I guess. He's a doctoral student at the University of Chicago, and he says that he understands Farsi or Persian, and he also understands Arabic. And he says that on Malta, his family's from Malta, the island in the Mediterranean, and they speak a kind of a dialect of Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you know what Buttigieg means, according to him?
What does it mean?
The father of the chicken. That's what this guy said. I don't know if it's true or not, but if that's true, Grace, that makes Pete Buttigieg not the Maltese Falcon, but the Maltese chicken.
Guys,
and then he went out to a black church and he said, I prefer Did he say I prefer Popeyes to KFC?
No,
or
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, I'm
Chick-fil-A,
sorry.
yeah,
Chick-fil-A.
that was a big to-do in my house.
How so, Taylor?
My wife worships Chick-fil-A, and out of all the Democrats,
Doesn't everyone?
Buttigieg was her favorite out of the Democrats, and
no longer.
If she were going to vote for him, that has since been nullified.
I have heard great things about Popeye's chicken. I have. My mom used to work in D.C. and she'd get Popeyes for lunch.
What are you hanging out in the Red Sox locker room with those pitchers who used to send out for down the street in Kenmore Square for Popeye's chicken and Bud Light?
My mom is a big fried chicken fan, believe it or not. And she used to get Popeyes when she worked in D.C. when she was in her 20s. And she said Popeye's chicken is really good. She also loves Chick-fil-A. So I think she's a good judge. That's all I'm saying.
If there's ever a slow day, we can make that the poll question.
I like their jingle too. Love that chicken from Popeyes.
KFC, the traditional. Popeyes or Chick-fil-A. I'm voting Chick-fil-A.
Love
Grace,
that chicken from Popeyes.
Can you really compete with closed on Sunday?
You're my Chick-fil-A. I agree, Taylor. Grace's News is sponsored by the Nauset Beach Inn. Last week's Cheap Bastard deal was so successful. The Nauset Beach Inn is offering ocean view rooms for just $100 for the entire month of April. Go to nausetbeachinn.com and click on special offers. That's NAUSET beachinn.com. An ocean view at a price you can afford.
Mayor Pete, are you aware that your last name means the father of the chicken?
Love that Buttigieg.
Love that Mayor Pete.
Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Usually we just brush it off or blame ourselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo, or we avoid it altogether with excuses like, I had a long day at work, or sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. But with Roman, it is easy to talk about it. It's easily treatable. You shouldn't have to live with it any longer. Go to Roman, and you can deal with a real doctor who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. No awkward visits to the physician or to the pharmacy to pick up your prescription. The doctor will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/Howie and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to tackle, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Again, no awkward visits to the physician or the pharmacy. Everything done from the privacy of your own home. Just go to getroman.com/Howie to get a free online visit and free 2-day shipping. That's getroman.com/Howie for a free visit to get started. Getroman.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Dirty Rats podcast. Everyone is raving about Dirty Rats. Available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as dirtyratspodcast.com. Binge Dirty Rats today. It's free.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart. No doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person. Never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, obviously.
Winter or summer?
Summer. Good Lord. Why would you want winter? It's cold and it's dark. I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. You get a lot of patients, I'm sure, who are apprehensive about veneers. What are some of the questions and fears you get when you're dealing with new patients?
Some people think they could look too fake, but true cosmetic dentistry is incredibly detail-oriented. So we put a lot of time and effort into individualizing how the smile looks, and we really make them look natural, but very, very pleasant.
You know, people are concerned. They wonder, I got my teeth. Do I really want to put caps on?
Exactly. Yeah, they think they'll have that Hollywood look or fake look, but the technology that we have available and the artistry that we can create now really makes things so natural that most people, in fact, most dentists are just surprised that we can create what we can create nowadays. Everyone is different. Everyone has different facial dimensions, different bone structure, and we do everything we can to individualize treatment because there is no one perfect smile. It is your perfect smile.
Dr. Houghton, where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
Bernie Sanders is officially in the race for 2020. Let's look back at some of the septuagenarian's greatest hits.
Should we give tax breaks to billionaires, which is what Trump wants, or demand that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes? Blah, 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 blah.
It's funny, sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing. In other countries, people don't line up for food. The rich get the food and the poor starve to death.
We understand your wife has hired a lawyer to represent her in a possible probe into a land deal that fell apart. This was back when she was president of Burlington College.
No, it was not when she was. Let me say a word on that.
Yeah, well, I just want to ask you, do you know she's under FBI investigation?
Excuse me. My wife is about the most honest person I know.
At the end of the day, you don't necessarily need a choice of 23 underarm spray deodorants or 18 different pairs of sneakers.
People should not be dying in the United States of America when they are sick.
We will raise taxes.
This is Mark in Williston, Vermont.
This is Marie in Somerville, Massachusetts.
This is Mike from South Attleboro, Mass. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
People on the text line, including Uber Jason, are saying, why do you have to wait for a slow news day to do the fried chicken poll question? It's better than most of the poll questions you do.
Whoa, shots fired.
Maybe you're right, though, Uber Jason. Maybe, you know what? I mean, we're considering how many texts we're getting about this. Maybe, Taylor, unless something big happens, and I don't think, I'm not talking about, moving into the 23rd hour of the opening arguments of the impeachment trial. Maybe that is our poll question tomorrow. Popeyes, KFC,
something
or
big has
Chick-fil-A.
already happened, Howie. We're now within 100 seconds of doomsday on the doomsday clock.
100 seconds?
Yep.
Time passes quickly when you're on the doomsday clock. I thought we had I thought we had at least 4 years and maybe as many as 11 years.
Wait, where do I find the doomsday clock?
Oh, it's always right where you don't want it to be.
Someone says you got to try Popeye's apple pies. I don't think I got time to try Popeye's apple pies. I barely got enough time for chicken.
Wait,
before the world ends.
Taylor, don't you think when Howie's back in Boston, we should get nuggets from KFC, Chick-fil-A, and Popeyes and do a blind taste test?
Why nuggets?
Or whatever you want, wings. I don't know.
Chicken sandwiches.
Let's make it the poll question.
I don't want to go get them Popeyes chicken sandwich, Taylor. People have died over that. I'm not willing to die.
Popeyes is spicier, isn't it? Popeyes is spicier than the other two, isn't it?
You can get Chick-fil-A spicy.
Yeah, you can get a spicy chicken sandwich.
Number 6 deluxe with pepper jack cheese. Thank you.
Okay, that's our poll question tomorrow, unless something big happens. And again, I don't mean Adam Schiff coming up for air.
Taylor, I'm very curious about cut number 2. 22. This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We know she has anxiety over the climate, but I want to hear this cut. Cut 22.
I'm going to live in a world that is fundamentally altered by climate change. So is Greta. So is every young person.
So is
Deco,
pretty
much under
the French bulldog.
First of all, we're seeing it now. Like, we're living through this right now. We're experiencing it right now. But especially if you are under 50 years old, if you're under 40, 30, 20, the younger you are, the more of our lives and our futures are going to be impacted by this. And, even people my age are stressed and have anxiety about having kids. Just because we want to make sure that we're
why did you bring a dog into
the
world
into a stable
AOC.
future? And we shouldn't ever have to be anxious about that. We need to be advocating for a safe future for all of us.
What's going to happen when the water floods New York or DC, wherever you happen to be that day? What are you going to do with Deco, the French bulldog puppy?
Howie, I know that you never watch SNL, but back in the day when it was still pretty funny, they had a Debbie Downer sketch, and she would always go, the music would go, and they would just kind of zoom in on her. Greta and AOC, man, they are Debbie Downers. Everything is anxiety and climate change and pollution and not wanting to have kids. It just seems like
are they worse than Schiff and Nadler?
I mean, as far as long term, yeah, Schiff and Nadler are bad right now, but at least they're not telling you about how awful the world's going to be for the next 30 years or 8 years, depending on how long we have left. Anyway, Bloomberg has jumped to 4th place in a new national poll. He's spending tons of money, and it seems to be paying off to some extent. He pushed up to 9% support among Democrats nationwide, a poll recently suggests.
Well, I agree with Roger Stone. These national polls don't really mean anything when he's not competing in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, or South Carolina.
Bloomberg just said today that if he's elected president, he's going to try to make Washington, D.C. a state.
He'll say anything. He'll say anything.
It's already a state.
He's already apologized for stop and frisk, which worked great in cutting down crime. He was just continuing a policy of Rudy Giuliani, his predecessor.
I thought D.C. was already a state, a deep state.
It is a deep state.
Very good.
You know what they have on their license plates? Taxation without representation. They make more money than anybody else in the country. What's the big deal? 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
Hey, New England, we love our choices. Skiing, hiking, shopping. And we love what gets us there. A car, a truck, or an SUV. With over 2,000 vehicles in stock in one convenient location, Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC is always a smart choice. Come to New England's highest volume GM dealer. You'll find the lowest, most transparent pricing around, a friendly, no-pressure staff, and over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles. And with a full-service internet department, you can call ahead and take care of most of the details before you even walk through the door. Right now, current qualified lessees can lease a 2019 GMC Sierra 1500 for around $309 per month, or a 2020 GMC Terrain for only $245 per month. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Real prices, huge inventory, always in stock. BanksAutos.com. GMC, we are professional grade. $1,500 cash down on lease. First payment and doc fee due at signing. Must have current qualifying lease. See dealer for complete details.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
When I raise money, excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
Moms, what do you think? You think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in, the worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Thank you, New England, for supporting Music Drives Us. Since 2006, we have used the power of music to benefit communities throughout the 6 states of New England. During this time, we've proudly supported more than 200 schools and donated upwards of 1,000 instruments. And this year, we're getting ready to donate all over again. Our work is made possible through your continued support of our musical mission. Whether you donated, volunteered at our events, attended our concerts, or engaged with us on social media, thank you. We hope you'll stay tuned with what we have in store for this year, because it'll be our best year yet. Visit us at musicdrivesus.org. That's musicdrivesus.org. Or follow us at Music Drives Us on social. Together, we can keep music in our schools.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
Enough with the fake news. You need to listen to Honest Howie's History. In my new weekly podcast, I take you behind the scenes of the most talked about news events and compare them to the past. We're going to go back 100 years here, but let's start with the latest politician in the Kennedy family's crosshairs. Whatever happened to the Massachusetts State Police? You know, Hermann Goering, the Nazi. Nobody thought that there was any conspiracy there. Of course he was going to kill himself. Honest Howie's History. Listen today at HowieCarrShow.com.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy now.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much, but no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't you have these wings, AOC and her group on one side?
It's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame, except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, I because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
Joe Biden might be running for president in 2020, so we should play some of his greatest hits.
Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The president's misconduct cannot be decided at the ballot box, for we cannot be assured that the vote will be fairly won.
It was a virtuoso performance.
I thought Schiff's performance was a virtuoso performance yesterday.
Adam Schiff did masterfully what all prosecutors are trained to do.
You mean live?
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
His closing speech is one of the tour de forces that I have seen in my decades here.
Pucker up, Chuck.
A good number of my Republican colleagues heard the entire arguments powerfully, succinctly.
Almost 2.5 hours by Adam Schiff.
There is a lot of extraneous information in there that wouldn't be admissible in court. If you're just an average citizen trying to get a handle on this thing, I think it was really hard to follow. And nobody's going to listen to a 2.5 hour speech. Nobody's going to listen to a full hour speech.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
You're supposed to believe Adam Schiff today and everything he's saying. Remember, this is the guy who said we have more than circumstantial evidence. Adam Schiff said the Nunes memo was false. Adam Schiff said you can trust the FISA court. Adam Schiff told us we look forward to hearing from the whistleblower. Adam Schiff said we've had no contact with the whistleblower. He just talked for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we're supposed to believe everything he said today.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Adam Schiff's arguments to open the day today directly drew into question Hunter Biden and made not only his testimony relevant, which it already was, but it is now critical.
How did Hunter Biden get $1.5 billion to invest when he'd been in business for 60 days from China? Joe Biden's one of the finest men I know, but he's got to explain this.
Why? You're getting nervous, man. Calm down.
You're the one who's nervous.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
I would think that after sitting through 2 days and counting of Adam Schiff and Go Nadler, I would think that Ted Cruz would not be wanting witnesses. That guy must be a real glutton for punishment. There's a masochistic element to anybody who would want witnesses at this point. Don't you just want to get the hell out permanently, escape from that room? Oh, again, where are the Bernie bros? Where are all these people that were in Project Veritas talking about, guillotining billionaires and sending them to the gulag? Where do you think Bernie is in the DC gulag right now, along with the everybody else in the Senate, listening to this stuff? He's in a re-education camp. Somebody says Adam Schiff makes Rachel Maddow look like an exciting television personality. Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
It really does, and people are really into this. This fried chicken test. We got to do it. I think we have to do it for tomorrow. Lara has texted me and says, "Do not let Grace choose nuggets for the taste test."
No, first of all, Laura,
Laura,
the taste test wouldn't be happening unless I had the idea for it. Second of all, I don't care what we use. I don't care if they taste test the sodas. I just think taste tests are fun and make for good radio.
We have to do it. We have to do it right when you guys are back here.
Right.
We have to do a blind taste test.
I agree.
And then we all vote for the best one.
But I think we have to have a poll. Now that we've teased everybody, I think we have to have that as the poll question tomorrow. That will take some of the bad taste of this impeachment trial out of everybody's mouths.
But there needs to be one person who knows which is which.
That'll be Brendan.
Nice. Got it.
You don't think you'd be able to tell the chicken nuggets apart or the chicken sandwiches? Sorry, Lara.
I don't know.
I think I could.
I think I could tell.
I could tell.
How you think you can tell? But you think you can tell everything, and you probably haven't had a chicken sandwich in 10 years, and you're saying I think.
Wait a second. I had a chicken sandwich when we were down at Cape Gunworks last year.
Last year was the last one. You're not exactly a chicken expert. You're not Pete Buttigieg, okay? You're not the father of the chicken.
We should also.
How many years did I work in? How many years did I work in Brighton, Grace? And what is the leading chicken emporium near Brighton? It's the KFC in Alston.
Yeah, but that was pre-sleeve.
Well, then you're saying I've had a lot. In other words.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm just saying. I think you're a little
overconfident. I'm going to guess that the spiciest one is Popeyes.
Well,
I don't know. Wendy's has a pretty spicy sandwich.
Someone wants a couple of people want Wendy's in it too. We might as well throw Wendy's in. We got room for 5 or 6 chicken companies, chicken sandwiches, right? We'll throw Wendy's in tomorrow.
By the way, the texters are wondering if I'm using a plastic straw. Nope. I'm using 2 plastic straws. Thank you.
844-500.
How dare you?
4242. Time now for the Chump Line.
Hey, this is Joe Biden. Are these people with the coronavirus, I mean, they brought it on themselves. What do they think would happen after drinking Mexican beer? Come on, man.
It's Montezuma's revenge. How come no one's saying that the coronavirus is Montezuma's revenge? That's an old joke from way back.
And there's your answer.
Oh, man, Tulsi, why'd you have to go and sue my wife? You're too good looking to end up in Fort Marcy Park. Oh, way.
Oh, that's cold. Tulsi was on Fox and Friends this morning, looking really good. I like the fact that she's gone straight to the white outfit every day. It's like her trademark. You know, it's like the pantsuit for Elizabeth Warren, but she does a lot more with white than Elizabeth Warren does with that pantsuit. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. This week, shaking our collective heads over the blue-checked whiner who called police on a Target store manager for refusing to sell him an electric toothbrush for 1 penny. In his defense, the blue-checked whiner has not been to the dentist in 3 years.
77 years ago, Adam Schiff started his opening statement.
That's about right. That's about right. We have a volunteer from 617. He volunteers to be the House manager for the great chicken debate. It's not a debate. It's an eat off.
But is it a 24-hour eat off? Is this going to last 24 hours?
Not for me.
Oh God!
I couldn't have done that. I could have done that in the pre-sleeve days before I went to the Newton Wellesley Weight Loss Center.
Wah, 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 wah. This is Burgess Meredith. I'm the Penguin, not that 2-foot nothing Nadler. He's a potato head, Mr. Potato Head. Wah, 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 wah.
No. He's not Mr. Potato Head. If anything, Nadler is the Oscar Mayer wiener, because he didn't go for the Chick-fil-A sandwich or the famous Popeyes sandwich that people kill each other over. He went for 3 hot dogs for his midnight snack. 3 hot dogs.
I see him as more of a Weeble. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
He is such a dope. I mean, would you hire him to do any kind of legal work for you? I wouldn't hire him to take my book back to the library. It was 2 days overdue. And this guy is the assistant manager of the impeachment of the president of the United States.
Remember how I used to say how he couldn't get elected dog catcher?
Yes.
Now it's, I wouldn't hire you to be the chicken manager of our great chicken debate.
What do you say about that, Mayor, father of the chicken?
It's really personal to him.
Lovey, did you see that video of Kanye West falling off the horse? He's about as skilled an equestrian as Genghis Khan is a bicyclist.
I didn't come here to be made sport of. I'm gonna lend Grace my bicycle tomorrow. She's gonna take a ride on the so-called lake trail.
There'll be no falling down. I am a great bike rider.
Just don't be distracted if you see a manatee in Lake Worth, and it or
if I'm trying to put on my sunglasses.
Right.
Whoa!
In the words of Santayana, a fanatic is someone who redoubles their effort when they have forgotten their aim. Sound like Mr. Schiff?
I think he knows his aim. He just wants to take out Donald Trump. I think he's forgotten all the lessons of being a skilled marksman to take somebody out. He's just firing randomly from the hip. He doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, this is counterproductive. 24 hours, and he's playing video of jokes from 2016 and claiming that this is the smoking gun. This is incriminating evidence. He's lost his mind.
Hey, Howie, Granny Warren's canceling the college loans for people in community service. Does it also apply if you just got probation?
Double secret probation. 781 says that when I worked at 20 Guest Street, the nearest place to get chicken nuggets was McDonald's with McChicken sandwiches. I don't think McChicken sandwiches figure in this. They're not nearly as good.
No, the sandwich has to be made of mostly chicken.
Right, and it's not ground up chicken that's reconstituted. It's like a McChicken sandwich is like a poultry hot dog.
Like sponge chicken.
Have you guys ever seen that video of the chef showing little kids how chicken McNuggets are made? And he grinds it all up and shows them and goes, now, after watching this, who would want to eat one of these? And all 10 of the little kids go, me!
I just have a couple words for Adam Schiff during this solemn process. May the farce be with you.
That's another good line, come to think of it. A toward the farce, may the farce be with you. Anything with farce in it, it works.
Hey, Howie, did you hear that new virus comes from snakes? Yeah, don't get too close to the Senate.
Maybe they're quarantined. Is this an impeachment trial or a quarantine like they used to do at Ellis Island?
The only way to prevent the 2020 election from being rigged is to allow the Democrats to rig the 2020 election.
I don't know. They're not doing much of a job with this trial, but I think they're capable of rigging the election. I think Roger Stone is onto something with that. But I think Trump understands that. Every time I talk to Trump, he still livid about what happened in New Hampshire 4 years ago. I think they're paying attention. They got enough money to deal with this problem, at least to a degree. And Roger Stone said it's going on here in Florida. I think I think Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is a pretty good guy who's not going to stand for too much nonsense.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
If President Trump really gets 30 to 35% of the black vote and the same percentage of the Hispanic vote, it's going to be hard to steal enough votes to make up that kind of shift in the electorate. And I guess the economy could go south, but what are the odds of that? I don't think they're great. That's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night. 844-500-4242. That's 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play your message at this time each weekday. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. This week, shaking our head over the blue-checked whiner who called police on a Target store manager for refusing to sell him an electric toothbrush for 1 cent. In his defense, the blue-checked whiner has not been to the dentist in 3 years.
77 years ago, Adam Schiff started his opening statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, the hits just keep on coming, as they used to say on our Boston affiliate back in the day. I think the speech began back in the days when WRKO was a top 40 station, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it. It's been going on for a while, and it's going to keep going on. I'm Howie Carr.
He didn't come here to be made sport of. Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Nauset Beach Inn on Cape Cod. All April, get an ocean view room for just $100 a night. These will go fast, so book now at nausetbeachinn.com.
Are you looking for a pre-owned car? Well, before you go to the dealership where you'll be pounced on by pushy salespeople, give the Car Guys a try. I'm Bill Papa George, and my job is to make finding the perfect used car as easy as possible. That means I do all of the tough legwork for you. Once I figure out what you want out of a car, I go find it. I've been in this business for a long time, and I know what to look out for. I won't bring you a car unless I know it will meet or exceed your expectations. So give me a call at 800-300-4600. That is 800-300-4600.
Hey, business owners and marketing professionals, would you like to advertise on the Howie Carr Radio Network? Howie's show reaches all across New England. And you know who's listening? Your next customer, client, or business lead. If you're interested in advertising on the Howie Carr Show, call 800-227-7300. That's 800-227-7300. You're listening to Howie, and so is your next customer. Call 800-227-7300 right now. And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of 2 poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I love those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7, 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for like maybe close to 10 years.
What is your all-time favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas. I love it even more than The Godfather.
What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably chocolate ice cream, followed by vanilla ice cream, followed by coffee ice cream. I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dr. Houghton, tell us about the state-of-the-art procedures that can help many people look 10 to 15 years younger.
As we age, we do lose these proper proportions to our faces. And so if you're deficient in your chin or mid-face, we can create the proper proportions and make you look great. Sometimes we use orthodontic to change the look of the face. Sometimes we just use the teeth themselves and it creates the right support for a beautiful face. They're all non-surgical procedures.
There's some pretty complex cases that you deal with. Give me an example of a tough case.
Well, some cases people just are missing a lot of teeth. I get a lot of people that come in and think that I cannot solve their problems because they're too great, but I really can. We've been doing this for over 35 years and there isn't much that we haven't seen.
So even if you're missing a few teeth or your teeth are discolored or you're very embarrassed, there's no reason not to come in for a consultation, right?
Absolutely. New techniques, new technology, things are available to us that we never had before, and we can handle just about everything.
Where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word? Poop. Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
This is Jeff in Woodstock, Connecticut.
This is Laura Benner in South Burlington, Vermont.
This is Jimmy Mack in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Today's poll question is brought to you by Hearing Help Express. Get your free hearing loss information kit right now. Call 1-800-353-5200. That's 1-800-353-5500. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will the Democrats let Hunter Biden testify?
No, I don't think so.
96% say no.
Tom Cotton, the senator from Arkansas, is apparently tweeting out about, I'm sure that on CNN they want to lock him up because he's tweeting. You know, you're not supposed to have your cell phone in the as if the aides can't tweet out on behalf of their bosses. But Cotton has been tweeting out that the Hunter Biden's baby mama is going to change this debate more than the House manager's interminable opening arguments. But you know, the thing is, it's like the old story about if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it really make any noise? I mean, who's covering these ongoing court proceedings about the payments that he's going to have to make in the paternity suit? I mean, the only papers that are covering it are the Daily Mail in the UK and the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, or whatever it is, the Little Rock newspaper. I mean, where are the national newspapers in this? Even the New York Post. Why aren't they covering it? They're just picking up stories occasionally from the Daily Mail. Why aren't the Smoking Gun or what is it, TMZ? Why aren't they covering it? I mean, this is good stuff that's going on down there. I mean, it's prurient, it's tabloidy, it's gossip. It's good stuff.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll. Do.
Don't forget the crack. And the guy named McGee, who is that's Biden's one of his nom de cracks.
Howie, sex and drugs and owls. Do.
Someone corrected me and said, "There's no such thing as a barnyard owl, Howie. There's a barn owl." And you know what? That got me thinking. What did they call them before they had barns? What did they call barn owls? Where did the barn owls live before there were barns? Because I don't think Native Americans had too many barns. I'm just asking this as a question. I don't know the answer to this.
I think owls are scary.
Susan, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Susan.
Hi, Howie.
Hi.
Hey, listen, I heard some
Sub Representative somebody Garcia today, and she said the reason he wanted to investigate Biden was because Biden's poll numbers went up and he felt threatened.
Really? Well, I guess he's not threatened now because Biden's numbers are going down. And Bernie is coming up, even though Bernie is doing 30 days in the hole. I'm Howie Carr.
Potential to shape the next decade financially. That's especially true if you're within 10 years of retirement. Is your plan ready? Find out with a portfolio stress test from Frisbee at Frisbee and Associates. Call 800-989-9100 for your no-cost, no-obligation analysis. Kevin can help uncover any hidden fees that may be lurking in your plan. Team at Frisbee and Associates are up to date on all the latest rules and regulations from what the Secure Act is and isn't to Social Security and Medicare. Let Kevin and the team give you peace of mind as you get near retirement. Make sure your plan is ready for whatever happens come November. It starts with a phone call to an Associates, 800-989-9100. And be sure to catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday at 3:50 as he reviews the market. Call Kevin now at 800-989-9100. 800-989-9100.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Would you say you're more like your mom or your dad?
No, I don't think I ended up being like either of them now that I think about it. My mother worked hard, but she never really learned how to make a lot of money. And my father didn't work so hard, but he had a good personality. He was good with people. He was better than me with people. That's what I'm saying. I'm not like either one of them, I don't think.
Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother, a younger brother.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Well, all kinds of history. I loved all kinds of history.
If you could have 3 houses besides the ones you already have, anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I wouldn't mind having another house in Palm Beach on Clark Avenue. Maybe a place in southern Maine. I don't need a third place.
Didn't you already have a house in Maine?
I did. It was on an island. It was not a good fit for the mailroom manager.
I've heard the house was haunted. Is that true?
Yes. And, my wife didn't really care that much for my relatives. John, what happened at Perfect Smiles when you went?
The initial consultation was easy. In the past, they just hand me a clipboard to fill out the forms, but that's not how it worked at Perfect Smiles. What was nice was it was a true consultation. They asked me my medical history or what I wanted to get out of the treatment plan. For me, I lived with TMJ. I'd literally have to crack my jaw throughout the day to relieve the pressure. I'd get headaches throughout the day. I'd be in pain. When I was at Perfect Smiles, they asked me what I wanted to get out of the treatment. As a joke, I just said, geez, I'd love you to be able to fix my TMJ. And I was surprised because Dr. Houghton specializes in working with patients like me that have TMJ.
What were the results of visiting Dr. Houghton at Perfect Smiles?
Not only did I walk out of that office with a perfect smile, but he fixed my TMJ. It was a life-changing event. People tell me now that my smile is amazing. People would say, geez, John, your teeth look so great. I never realized my teeth looked so bad before. Now I take a look at the before and after pictures and I'm amazed.
Go to Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire, or visit their website, perfectsmiles.com.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure.
Taylor, how does he pronounce his name?
Since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say.
Is he there?
Not amicable. And
Yeah, what's up?
Chuck last
How does he
night
pronounce
say,
his name? I can never remember it.
We haven't had an answer. There are other things
what is
that
it?
are going on that are
Sayeg.
newsworthy. And
Sayeg?
Yes.
I think we have more
Sayeg.
viewers or readers that people
Yes, emphasis on
address
say.
concerns
Sayeg.
that people have.
Sayeg. And what's his title?
About the
Senior Advisor of Strategy.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg.
We've
I
got
was
Andy
playing
Biggs
touch
tomorrow.
football in Portland. Oh, that's A good. big kid, a 15-year-old tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip.
Do you see
and
what they
now
say
I
in the
have
New
a
York,
bunch of
the New
pins
Yorker magazine?
in
I'm
my,
sure they call it a
left elbow.
barn owl.
When
Not
do
a
you plan
barn
to
owl.
retire?
I don't plan
that's
on
a joke.
retiring as
What?
an old football coach.
I think that's a
once
joke,
said,
like
once you
behind
retire,
bars owl.
there's
A
only
large
one
barn
big
owl.
moment left.
Barn owl. They call it a
You know
barn
what that
owl,
is.
right?
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
People are telling me that the owl is known as a barred owl, but I looked it up, just looked it up on the owl that's mentioned in the New Yorker that flew in front of Hunter Biden's car is called a barn owl, a large barn owl. Okay, I don't know whether they called it before they had barns, but they call it a barn owl now. All right, 844-500-4242. Joining us now on the line is Tony Sag. And he is a senior advisor of strategy at the White House. And so we're checking in to see how President Trump is taking this trial. Tony, is he watching it more than most of us are? Because I don't know anybody who's watching this.
Howie, great to be with you and your listeners. And obviously, the president's monitoring the trial. But I will say, when you really, and this is the point I think you're making, when you really think about what do the American people care about, this impeachment sham is last on the list. In fact, there was a recent poll that showed among Republicans, it was the 13th of 13 issues when ranking what was most important to them. And among Democrats, it was 12 of 13 issues most important to them. And that's actually reflected in the viewership numbers, around 11 million, when, you had during the Comey testimony in Congress, you had the Kavanaugh hearings, and you had the Mueller report. All of those were 18 million, 19 million, 20 million viewers. This is down around 11.
So this is like a half-life of, radioactive material, right? I mean, every time they put it out again, there's fewer viewers, right? I mean,
they're not saying anything new. And today they're arguing this, abuse of power article, which doesn't have in it any allegation of a crime. I mean, don't forget, this is what since September, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and Jerry Nadler have been promising us, that they were going to prove that the president committed a high crime and misdemeanor, extortion, bribery, quid pro quo. None of those had any evidence to support them in the House process that the Democrats themselves controlled. So they're not even in the article. So this is really a lot of hollow rhetoric, a lot of theatrics, very little substance. And ultimately, I think the American people are a lot smarter than Adam Schiff and other Democrats are giving them credit. And they're really just tuning this out, and they're focused more on the president, who's really doing his job. I mean, whether it's trade deals, whether it's eliminating some of the world's worst terrorists in Soleimani, whether it's making sure we have one of the best economies in 50 years with people having opportunities for jobs and wage growth. That's really where the president's attention is focused. And I think that's where the American people want the president to focus.
I don't understand why they need 24 hours, because as you say, they're not arguing that there's any bribery, treason, high crimes, or misdemeanors. Those are the criteria for impeaching a president in the Constitution. And there's none of that in there. This is just,
Howie,
we don't like the president. Why do you need 24 hours? I don't think they need 24 minutes. We get it. Schiff and Nadler and the rest of them don't like the president.
If you need 24 hours to make your case, you have a really bad case. And that's exactly what we have here, a weak case. And Howie, I know a lot of your listenership live in the first primary state of New Hampshire.
Yes.
And they're going to be voting in less than a month in New Hampshire to pick a Democratic nominee. This is the first in the nation attempt by any party to replace an election with an impeachment process that has no merit, that has no substantive cause to it. And this is where it's an insult, as we've been arguing, and Pat Cipollone, our White House counsel, and Jay Sekulow, the president's attorney, have been arguing. This is an insult to the American people. This is a brazen attack on our election process. If you think the president did something wrong with the way he conducted his foreign policy with Ukraine, you have every right to exercise that at the ballot box. But the president has every right to do things the way he sees fit. So whether that's combating corruption, whether that's making sure other countries are taking their fair share of the burden of giving foreign aid money to countries like Ukraine. Remember, this is American taxpayer dollars that the president is responsible for making sure is appropriated and accounted for properly. That's ridiculous to think that the president doesn't have a right to do that. The Constitution gives him that right. You could disagree with him, but you don't impeach him. You vote him out of office if you want. And that's really what I think Democrats are trying to short circuit, because they're so fixated on their personal animus toward the president. And this has been nothing more than a political vendetta for the last 3 years.
Well, there's you bring up the New Hampshire primary. Bernie Sanders is ahead in most of the polls in New Hampshire. And Bernie Sanders is one of the quote unquote jurors. And he fell asleep last night, according to every story that I read. And I don't blame him for falling asleep. It was boring. And like you said, there's nothing new here. And it's just people ranting and raving about how much they hate the president of the United States. I mean, maybe too bad the president can't somehow figure out a way to free all of these guys, Republicans and Democrats. I'm sure they'd all like to get out of those chambers.
It is interesting that, the three of the biggest threats, obviously to Vice President Biden's candidacy are the three senators trapped in this impeachment sham hearing. And the bottom line is, when you really think about it, Howie, the framers never wanted impeachment to become a partisan tool, a political weapon.
They wrote about it in the Federalist Papers. That's why they drew it up so that with these with these strict guidelines as to what you could remove a president for.
That's correct, and that's why it's so unfortunate that despite the fact that some very courageous Democrats in the House voted against impeachment, one presidential candidate, Tulsi Gabbard, actually abstained from even voting on the articles. You had Congressman Van Drew, a Democrat from southern New Jersey, switch parties because of his opposition. The only bipartisan element of this impeachment process has been the votes against it, and then you see public opinion, especially in swing states, decidedly against impeachment. The president's popularity has increased significantly since this process has started. Yet Democrats have these blinders on and are insisting on dragging America through this entire sham, and it's really unfortunate for the country.
We're talking to Tony Sayegh. He's the senior advisor for strategy for the president at the White House. Is the president going to be coming down to Florida for the weekend, or is he going to stay in Washington?
Well, the president was in Florida today, down in Miami. Obviously, I think he's going to monitor the trial, and he has been thus far very pleased, as he's indicated himself during his press conference from Davos, Switzerland, in the initial performance of his legal team headed by Pat Cipollone and Jay Sekulow. Look, here's the bottom line: he knows the facts are on our side. He knows that he's done nothing wrong, and we're very confident in the strength of our case.
Is he gonna is Jay Sekulow and all the rest is Pat Cipollone and Dershowitz and Pam Bondi? Are they going to take 24 hours?
Look, I think we're going to take the appropriate amount of time needed to make our case both in the affirmative and, of course, to also address some of the lies and falsehoods being perpetrated now by our colleagues on the other side, the House Democrats, who are the House managers, trying this case on behalf of Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats.
I think the president has been tweeting out more. Even, I mean, I know he's the one on trial, and I understand why he's tweeting so much. But I mean, is it really necessary for him to tweet this much about as many times as he's been doing it the last couple of days?
Listen, the president appreciates the fact that he has the ability through Twitter and social media to connect with tens of millions of Americans who otherwise are either getting misinformation or no information. And it's something that, whenever people have questioned it in the past, they've been proven wrong, because it really has borne out to be a very effective way for the president to be in touch and to reflect his views. And look, it reinforces what we've said all along, and certainly anybody who knows the president knows this very well. He's literally the most transparent president in modern history. I mean, I don't know how transparent, maybe William McKinley was. I don't think they had Twitter back then, but I think we all have to give the president a lot of credit for the fact that you never sit there and wonder what he's thinking. He shares it with you. And he shares it with the press. He shares it with the voters. And this is how he likes to communicate. And I think it works for him.
Maybe he should send out a tweet saying, all of you who are not able to watch General Hospital this week, I feel your pain.
Well, it's certainly the Democrats' performance thus far certainly has not been necessarily blockbuster TV. But look, on the other hand, it does expose the sham that we've been calling this all along. And I think the American voters have completely moved away from this because it's not important to them. Other issues have a lot more significance to their lives. And I think any politician who does not honor the fact that their constituents, that the people they represent, want their priorities addressed, I think ultimately end up losing.
I know everybody is reporting that he wants a speedy end to the trial, but would the president of the United States like to see the Bidens in the dock and testifying?
Well, look, I mean, I think the president said the other day, look, I mean, whatever the trial is, it is. And, frankly, if we ended up having witnesses, I think the side that would benefit is the president's side. Because don't forget, we were the ones deprived of our witnesses in the House process. The House got to decide House Democrats got to decide who ultimately testified, and they got 17 witnesses. And even though they were able to control and rig that entire process, not one criminal allegation made it into the articles. Not one witness was able to offer any evidence or testimony that led to any criminal charge in this impeachment. So back when we were being charged and the president was being charged with, or at least alleged to have committed treason and all these, rather bribery and extortion, all these high crimes, of course we wanted the witnesses to exonerate it. But the fact that the Democrats delivered these 2-week articles shows that they have no case. And if you have no case, where are you going to call witnesses to prove? If you wanted more witnesses, if you needed more evidence, that belonged in the House process that they could have taken more time with, but they didn't because they wanted to make sure they could hurt the president with this as a political issue to interfere in the 2020 election.
We're talking to Tony Sayegh, and he's the one of the senior advisors to the president on strategy. Does it bother him that this isn't a real trial? He's been through real trials. He knows how they're run, and there are certain rules of evidence, due process, et cetera, et cetera. Like, for instance, today, Schiff takes that little bit of testimony from Morrison and then just shows the videotape and then cuts it off before Morrison says, well, I don't think that there was anything impeachable in what happened. Now, if this were a real trial, the president's lawyer or any defendant's lawyer would be able to stand up and say, Your Honor, don't you think the jury should see the entire testimony of Morrison? I mean, does this frustrate the president?
Howie, none of the rules of jurisprudence applied to the House case. If you looked at the way the House conducted their case objectively, it would not even resemble any modicum of a judicial system we have in Western civilization.
I know.
9/11 terrorists were given more due process rights than the president of the United States in this process. In the 78 days that this entire impeachment existed in the House, the Republicans were not invited to participate until the 71st day. Think about that.
I know. And then they're saying, they've said it over and over again, not all that often, but they've repeated it. No man is above the law. Well, I mean, no man is below the law either, right? Except Donald Trump, apparently, as far as these people are concerned.
That's exactly right. And just to be clear, I meant it took 71 days for the president's team to be able to be invited into this process, which I think clearly shows you how rigged it all is. And they talk about the president as if he has the burden of proof for his innocence. That's not how the system works. The burden of proof is on the prosecution's side, number one, and the accused has rights, and the president's being completely deprived of any of those due process rights and rights to executive privilege. And frankly, the case of the Democrats is, listen, the executive branch has no rights. The judicial branch has no rights. It's really only whatever we say that goes. And that's a very dangerous constitutional argument to make, that reorders and restructures our entire governmental system on the basis of what? On the basis of a party motivated by their animus and dislike for Donald Trump. And that's not the way we should be conducting impeachment proceedings for the benefit of our country and our Constitution.
And he's not accused of any crimes, but he's still on trial. I mean, what kind of system is that?
Well, it's clearly, again, part of a broader political vendetta and political calculation. But I will say, Howie, I think the Democrats have gambled an awful lot during this entire process. And when they do, they tend to lose. And I think they're going to have to explain to the American people why they've wasted so much energy, time, and taxpayer resources trying to push this impeachment for which there's no evidence of any wrongdoing.
Especially the viewers of General Hospital and all those other soap operas. Tony Sayegh, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show from the White House. Simply Safe Home Security is like getting commercial-grade, enterprise-level security, but for your own home. Think about the security Fortune 500 companies use. They need to know police are going to be on the scene immediately. This is exactly the type of security you get with Simply Safe. If there's a break-in, Simply Safe uses real video evidence to give police an eyewitness account of the crime. And that means police dispatch up to 3.5 times faster than for a normal burglar alarm. With Simply Safe, you get comprehensive protection for your home. Outdoor cameras and doorbells alert you to anyone approaching your home. Entry, motion, and glass break sensors guard inside. Plus, Simply Safe protects your home from fires, water damage, and carbon monoxide poisoning. It's all monitored 24/7 by live security professionals. You could set up your system yourself with no tools needed, or Simply Safe's experts can do it for you. And it's only 50 cents a day with no contracts. Go to simplysafehowie.com today to get free shipping on your order, plus a 60-day money-back guarantee. That's simplysafehowie.com to save on home security today. You don't want to be burglarized, believe me. And the way to avoid being burglarized is to go to simplysafehowie.com. I'm Howie Carr.
The Howie Carr Show.
This portion of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Life Change Tea, the tea that makes you go. Go to getthetea.com.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touched them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts,
I get in trouble some things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, for me, it starts here in my gut, it goes to my heart, and then I articulate it.
and by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. You get a lot of patients, I'm sure, who are apprehensive about veneers. What are some of the questions and fears you get when you're dealing with new patients?
Some people think they could look too fake, but true cosmetic dentistry is incredibly detail-oriented. So we put a lot of time and effort into individualizing how the smile looks, and we really make them look natural, but very, very pleasant.
People are concerned. They wonder, I got my teeth. Do I really want to put caps on?
Exactly. Yeah, they think they'll have that Hollywood look or fake look, but the technology that we have available and the artistry that we can create now really makes things so natural that most people, in fact, most dentists are just surprised that we can create what we can create nowadays. Everyone is different. Everyone has different facial dimensions, different bone structure, and we do everything we can to individualize treatment because there is no one perfect smile. It is your perfect smile.
Dr. Houghton, where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
Brace yourself, guys. Here is 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable.
That they wanted their voices to be heard.
I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea. because they are not getting paid 163. Was it 163 Republicans voted no. Wisdom from the kitchen of the Willard Hotel, yes, ma'am. The president either doesn't know what he's talking about or doesn't want to know what he's talking about.
This is Chris in Rochester, Mass.
This is Mark in Nashville, New Hampshire.
This is Lorna in Truckstown, Pennsylvania. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Okay, there it is. Okay. So there is we were just looking up and see if the New Yorker confused the barred owl and the barn owl, but there is a barn owl. I'm just looking at it right now. The barn owl is found everywhere.
They're scary. They're very scary looking. I don't blame Hunter for being frightened.
But in his case, it was probably a hallucination.
Even scarier.
844-500-4242. Here's a tweet from the House Republicans. House Dems choosing Adam Schiff as the lead impeachment manager speaks for itself. And then they have a checklist. Spread false allegations about collusion. Fabricated a call transcript during a hearing. Lied about dealings with the whistleblower, mischaracterized evidence from official documents. And again, where is the interest of the mainstream media? Saying that that this guy Lev Parnas, who's now under indictment in New York for various high crimes and misdemeanors, that he didn't talk to the president of Ukraine. He talked to the president of Burisma. And that's never been corrected. He's never been called out on. Schiff has never been called out on that by the mainstream media, just by Politico and Fox News and and talk radio. Just like nobody's covering Hunter Biden's paternity case with the stripper he knocked up, and is now the stripper is now the mother of his baby son Burisma Biden. Where is that? Where are these stories? Bill, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Howie. Great show. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
Hey, we all know this is so great in a way. It's a horror movie that we know the end of the movie. We don't have to watch it. And Pocahontas has to sit on those wooden chairs. I'd just like to ask, hey, Pocahontas, how's your caboose today,
When we had Roger Stone, he said, my only complaint about Pocahontas is we all know her name is really Pocahontas. And I said, yeah, you're from a different generation, Roger. It's Pocahontas is the name of the Disney cartoon character and the historical figure. To say Pocahontas, you have to understand that it's print. I'm Howie Carr.
We here at Matthews Brothers would like to send a wicked huge thank you to our dealers, their customers, and their customers' customers for supporting us as we set yet another sales record in our relentless march towards global domination. Over the past 10 years, while the U.S. window market has grown 3 to 4% annually, Matthews Brothers has consistently surpassed the industry rate, including an amazing 7-fold increase in 2019. There are a lot of reasons for this growth, but to us it comes down to just one word: trust. Trust and confidence. 2 words: trust, confidence, and loyalty. Okay? 3 words: trust, that comes from 166 years of providing consistently superior customer service. Confidence that our builder customers have in recommending and using our products in their projects, and the loyalty from our dealers who service builders and contractors from the Atlantic Ocean to the New York border, or as we call it, the Western Frontier. You can learn more about our authentic, wicked awesome Maine-made products, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian. The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper. If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit cards over and over again, and she keeps busting in and using them again. Most recently, just this week, she spent $75 at AT&T.
What's the cheapest thing you do now to save money?
The cheapest thing I do currently to save money, I guess, is I take all the bottles and cans back to the market basket every weekend. I always like to save that money. I can't stand to throw those bottles and cans away and have the unclaimed returns go to the state of Massachusetts for illegal aliens.
Do you recycle?
Yes, I do recycle. When I got on the town meeting, I saw that the town dump was probably the only department in the town that was running in the black. And it's because of all the recycling that was going on. So I try to keep my taxes down that way.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Thank you, New England, for supporting Music Drives Us. Since 2006, we have used the power of music to benefit communities throughout the 6 states of New England. During this time, we've proudly supported more than 200 schools and donated upwards of 1,000 instruments. And this year, we're getting ready to donate all over again. Our work is made possible through your continued support of our musical mission. Whether you donated, volunteered at our events, attended our concerts, or engaged with us on social media, thank you. We hope you'll stay tuned with what we have in store for this year because it'll be our best year yet. Visit us at musicdrivesus.org. That's musicdrivesus.org. Or follow us at Music Drives Us on social. Together, we can keep music in our schools.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst.
Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. So what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow? I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year because I've destroyed her political career and now I won't get a chance to run against her and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
The Democrat Party is so full of loonies, social justice warriors, progressives, whatever you want to call them, that sometimes certain moonbats get overlooked. So let's take this moment to shine the woke spotlight on Crazy Maisie Hirono.
I am not going to be a fool to Mitch McConnell's shenanigans. Why should any of us? And it's not just a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. Bullhorns. It's racism. It's basically, for many people, it's anti-Semitic. It's white supremacy.
Why not take a stand and vote yes for it? Seems like you're trying to have it both ways, not be hung by it politically, but also not say that you don't support it.
I disagree with you, Katie, that why should we engage in the kind of sham shenanigans that Mitch McConnell is really good at? I'm confused. This was just a sham. Guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country. And I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up. I think the noose is closing. And, Giuliani is like a loose cannon. And so is the president, frankly.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother." Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And like, this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The president's misconduct cannot be decided at the ballot box, for we cannot be assured that the vote will be fairly won.
It was a virtuoso performance.
I thought Schiff's performance was a virtuoso performance yesterday.
Adam Schiff did masterfully what all prosecutors are trained to do.
You mean live?
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
His closing speech is one of the tour de forces that I have seen in my decades here.
Pucker up, Chuck.
A good number of my Republican colleagues heard the entire arguments powerfully, succinctly.
Almost 2.5 hours by Adam Schiff.
There is a lot of extraneous information in there that wouldn't be admissible in court. If you're just an average citizen trying to get a handle on this thing, I think it was really hard to follow. And nobody's going to listen to a 2.5-hour speech. Nobody's going to listen to a full hour speech.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
You're supposed to believe Adam Schiff today and everything he's saying. Remember, this is the guy who said we have more than circumstantial evidence. Adam Schiff said the Nunes memo was false. Adam Schiff said you can trust the FISA court. Adam Schiff told us we look forward to hearing from the whistleblower. Adam Schiff said we've had no contact with the whistleblower. We just talked for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we're supposed to believe everything he said today.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Adam Schiff's arguments to open the day today directly drew into question Hunter Biden and made not only his testimony relevant, which it already was, but it is now critical.
How did Hunter Biden get $1.5 billion to invest when he'd been in business for 60 days from China? Joe Biden's one of the finest men I know, but he's got to explain this.
Wait. You're getting nervous, man. Calm down.
You're the one who's nervous.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Senator Lindsey Graham, sometimes there's not much follow through on what he says, but he has had some good lines here the last 24, 48 hours. Another thing he said, he tweeted out, he said, getting a lecture government ethics from Adam Schiff is like getting a lecture on fire prevention from an arsonist. But that was a good way to put it. So tomorrow at the State House, they're having a hearing on the sanctuary state bill. That's what it amounts to, a sanctuary state. Even more protections for illegal alien criminals running amok in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. One of the people who's going to the hearing is going to be the mother of Matthew Denise. He is the Milford man who had just graduated from UMass Amherst and was just about to go to work at his first post-graduation job. And he was on a Saturday afternoon, he was on his motorcycle and he was run down by a drunk illegal alien who had his anchor baby in the car, in the trunk of in the cab of his truck, a pickup truck, and he was killed. And we'll have her on with us tomorrow night. And she's also going to talk about what Joe Biden now says, the latest of his ridiculous statements that drunk driving should not be considered a crime for illegal aliens, and that any ICE agent who tries to deport an illegal alien for merely drunk driving should be fired. That's what he said in Iowa. I don't know who he thinks he's impressing in Iowa when he says stuff like that, but I guess he's not playing to the Iowa crowd. 844-500-4242. So a lot of people are sending us pictures of barn owls as opposed to barred owls. And a guy I know, John Harrison, he's been on the show. He's a great photographer. He takes pictures of birds. And he said he sent me some pictures of some barred owls that in Medford, or one that he found in Medford, and I guess they're fairly common around Boston. But he said the only barn owl he knows of in New England. A friend of his took a picture of a barn owl in Rhode Island. But see, the barn owl that Hunter Biden hallucinated, that wasn't in New England. That was in Nevada. Maybe they're more barn owl or hallucinations of barn owls in Nevada than there are around here. But I must say, barn owls the owls are interesting creatures, all of them. But the barn owl is really interesting. Grace is frightened of the barn owl.
I'm just not a bird person, and I don't want the bird people to come after me because I respect your passions and your interests. But for me, birds are just... it's no good. Their claws, their beady little eyes.
That's why you didn't run that story I gave you for Police Blotter Facts about the parrot in Lake Worth.
I think somebody just scarred from the Big E.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not just the Big E, Taylor, because my mechanic who works on my car, he has a parrot in his shop. And when the parrot goes, one time my mom made me hold the parrot. And when he goes on your arm and he wraps his little claws around your arm, it is the most scary thing. I cried then too.
This was just a couple of weeks ago?
It was probably a year ago.
Oh, you cried?
Yeah, it was kind of a mixture of like excitement and fear. But yeah, there was definitely tears.
Someone says the most damning thing Schumer said in that intro is not that it was a tour de force, but that he's been there for decades. Yeah, he has. I mean, he was a congressman long before he defeated Alphonse D'Amato, and that was in like 96, I think, that happened. And how about the fact, too, that he went to Harvard and he's saying it's a toward the forces. Isn't it towards the force? I think it would be towards the force. 844-500-4242. The texter says the barn owl Hunter Biden was attacked by was a Hooters waitress. I think he likes him. I think he likes it a little stronger than a Hooters waitress, you know. Is that a barn owl or a barred owl? Sounds kind of like a dog, doesn't it? 844-500-4242. Taylor, are we missing anything? Because we're down here in the TV studio, but we don't have a monitor in here for the TV to be monitoring this and following these historic, scintillating, toward the force, riveting proceedings.
I think Jerry Nadler just stepped in front of the camera. Oh wait, no, my TV's off, so it's always black like that. Just it looked like the back of his coat or something, but no.
All right, we're going to take some calls on the trial, such as it is, going forward here. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. Let's play. Let's have Morning Joe. I don't know if we need all of these people gushing over the masterful virtuoso chef, but let's have Morning Joe. He kind of encapsulates their caps. You know, he's symbolic of all the rest of these Democrat operatives with press passes. Cut 6.
It was a virtuoso performance. It was a stunning recitation of the facts.
I thought Schiff's performance was a virtuoso performance yesterday. I'm so used to seeing mediocrity on the floors of the House and the Senate that a performance like that really does cut through.
He laid it out very clearly, as Tom said, from start to finish, with evidence, with testimony that they played on the video screen, and told a pretty compelling and clear story.
Adam Schiff did masterfully what all prosecutors are trained to do.
Most of them are trained to do it in like under an hour, though, in an opening argument, lest they alienate the jury and the judge. But I guess, you know, if you're Adam Schiff, you don't worry about alienating anybody. 844-500-4242. Here's Representative Mike Rogers kind of putting it in, I think, in terms that you and I can understand. Cut 13.
When you think about politicians in the House, you get 5 minutes on the House floor. That's an eternity. Senators, maybe 15 minutes. It's going to be really hard, I think, to sell what their narrative is. And remember, Americans already have made up their minds in many ways. So there has to be a big moment. There has to be that miracle on 34th Street, where the lawyer pounds the table and they bring in the mail to prove that there is Santa Claus because the federal government. That's not going to happen here. And so what I saw today, I just don't think rose up to that level where you're going to start moving people on their convictions.
You know, one of the famous Washington movies from back in the golden age of Hollywood was Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, starring Jimmy Stewart. And the climax of that movie is they're trying to frame Jimmy Stewart for something he didn't do. And so he goes onto the floor of the Senate and delivers this barn burner, not barn owl, a barn burner of a speech, and turns the tide and saves the republic and his career, etc., and his girlfriend. And I'm just thinking to myself, what would it have been like if the screenwriters and the director and the producer had gone to Cecil B. DeMille or whoever, Louis Mayer, and said, okay, here it is. We got Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. We have 4 reels. We're setting up the climactic speech. And then the speech runs 24 hours. Think that would have been a hit movie? Think that would have done Boffo box office, also known as Boffo B-O? I think not. 844-500-4242. We'll take some of your calls when we come back. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr will return after this brief commercial break.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you today in part by the Conversations with Grace podcast. Hear Grace's compelling conversation with former Maine Governor Paul LePage. Never before heard stories and political news too. All at HowieCarrShow.com. It's been more than 2 years now since I had the sleeve procedure at Newton Wellesley Hospital's weight loss center. I've kept the 100 pounds off and I'm so happy. I feel better and I look better. I just cleaned out my clothes closet, getting rid of all those XLs and even double XLs I know I'll never fit into again. Thank goodness. If you're thinking about finally losing all that extra weight, now is the time. Call Newton Wellesley Hospital's Weight Loss Center at 617-243-3724 or go to nwh.org/weight loss. I talked to so many people who've had the procedure and not one of them has ever said to me, Howie, I wish I'd waited a little longer to lose all this weight. Don't procrastinate any longer. Make 2019 the year you get your health back. Call 617-243-3724 or go to nwh.org/weight loss. Don't procrastinate any longer. Whatever your age, whatever your gender, do it. Call 617-243-3724 or go to nwh.org/weight loss.
We all love President Trump's off-the-cuff comments, but he's never in rarer form than when he's speaking at a rally. Take a listen.
I hit Pocahontas way too early. I thought she was gone. She's emerged from the ashes, and now it looks like she could beat Sleepy Joe. He's fallen asleep. He has no idea what the hell he's doing or saying.
I don't know. I'm not a vain person, but I look better under an incandescent light than these crazy lights that are beaming down on.
That guy's got a serious weight problem. Go home, start exercising. Got a bigger problem than I do. Now he goes home and his mom says, "What the hell have you just done?" How do you top that? I'm just ready. The big, beautiful crescendo, and this character's going back home. One person just going home to mommy a little bit sooner. These are phony people, but that's okay. You know, when you think of it, I'm president, and they're not. You really have to elect me. Whether you like me or not, it makes no difference, because our country will go to hell if any of these people get in.
I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dr. Houghton, tell us about the state-of-the-art procedures that can help many people look 10 to 15 years younger.
As we age, we do lose these proper proportions to our faces. And so if you're deficient in your chin or mid-face, we can create the proper proportions and make you look great. Sometimes we use orthodontics to change the look of the face. Sometimes we just use the teeth themselves, and it creates the right support for a beautiful face. They're all non-surgical procedures.
There's some pretty complex cases that you deal with. Give me an example of a tough case.
Well, some cases, people just are missing a lot of teeth. I get a lot of people that come in and think that I cannot solve their problems because they're too great, but I really can. We've been doing this for over 35 years, and there isn't much that we haven't seen.
So even if you're missing a few teeth, or your teeth are discolored, or you're very embarrassed, there's no reason not to come in for a consultation, right?
Absolutely. New techniques, new technology, things are available to us that we never had before, and we can handle just about everything.
Where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
Joe Biden might be running for president in 2020, so we should play some of his greatest hits.
Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to eliminate, in crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. Correct. It was a big mistake when it was made. We thought we were told by the experts that crack, you never go back.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. If there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts. They're going to put you all back in chains. Give me a break. That's a bunch of malarkey.
The 3-letter word, jobs. Jobs. Jobs.
One man stands ready to deliver change we desperately need. A man I'm proud to call my friend. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
This is Karen from Billerica, Massachusetts.
This is Adrian in Swanton, Vermont.
This is Miss Susan up in Warner, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Today's poll question is brought to you by Hearing Help Express. Get your free hearing loss information kit today. Call 1-800-353-5200. That's 1-800-353-5200. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Do you think the Dems will let Hunter Biden testify?
No, I don't think so, under no circumstances.
About 96% say no.
Yeah, I just can't see it. And again, though, I would say, though, that if he did get a subpoena, a guy last week on the text line said if he does get a subpoena, he's going into rehab. I think that's absolutely on target. President Trump will be back in New Hampshire on the eve of the state's first in the nation primary. They have the Trump reelection campaign has announced a rally for 7 p.m. 7 p.m. February 10th at the Southern New Hampshire University Arena in Manchester, New Hampshire, the same venue he packed with supporters in August. Under President Trump, New Hampshire is booming with an unemployment rate of 2.6%, one of the lowest rates in the country, said the COO of Donald J. Trump for president. His name is Michael Glasner. President Trump looks forward to returning to the Granite State to celebrate his message of promises made, promises kept. So he's clinging to a slight lead in the primary, according to the latest poll numbers in the Franklin Pierce University Boston Herald NBC 10 poll. He has 79% of the vote heading into the primary versus 4% for Bill Weld and 4% for Joe Walsh of the Eagles. No, it's a different Joe Walsh. It's the former congressman and failed talk show host Joe Walsh, as opposed to the successful guitarist for the Eagles.
I go to parties sometimes until 4.
One of my favorite songs of the 70s. Life's been good to Joe Walsh. The New Hampshire polls, not so good for Joe Walsh. 844-500-4242. Emmett, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Emmett.
Howie, imagine how different this narrative would spell out in the press if it was Obama administration investigating Dick Cheney and his kids for corruption.
Right. No, that is a real good way to put it. I mean, did you hear the interview with Peter Schweizer yesterday about the Bidens, the five of them? I mean, they've made Clinton like money in basically since Biden became vice president. And, and after Biden left office, he made, I think, $17 million his first year out of office. And nobody blinks an eye with this stuff.
No, not at all. But just imagine how different it would be if it was Halliburton being investigated.
Yeah, I know. And can you imagine? I mean, they get angry. They really get angry. There was a cut yesterday from some NBC reporter. It was as if, probably she just was reading talking points from the Biden campaign saying that all of the allegations had been thoroughly debunked. So in other words, a dodgy energy company in Ukraine would just happen to hire a guy who doesn't speak the language, who's never been to the Ukraine, who's never been in the energy business, and who just got washed out of the Navy for cocaine use and has been to rehab across the country multiple times, an alcoholic, a crackhead, just a total degenerate in his entire personal life. That's the guy you would want to hire for $50,000 a month. A nationwide search, Emmett.
He's a good boy, a very good boy.
Yeah, and nobody's supposed to pay any attention to it. Nobody's supposed to care about it. And then he's got more dealings in China. And according to Schweizer, the investments in China, when he cashes out, he's going to get 20 or 30 million bucks. 20 or 30-minute books.
Next witness, please.
Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. They can't. I mean, how is John Bolton going to compete against Hunter Biden or Joe Biden or the whistleblower? I mean, that's the other thing. The whistleblower, Mr. Whistleblower. There's been testimony that you have that when President Trump had just been inaugurated, you and this guy named Sean Misko, who is now on the payroll of Adam Schiff, were at a meeting that was chaired at the White House by General Michael Flynn, and you guys were talking loudly at the meeting about how you were going to, quote unquote, take out the president of the United States. And then they also say that now it's come out, I guess it was on Laura Ingraham last night, that there's evidence that this guy, the whistleblower, he was involved in a meeting at the White House in 2016, how they were going to handle the Burisma embarrassment and the fact that the crackhead son of the vice president was collecting tens of thousands of dollars a month from this energy company. And the president of and again, so you can make the argument, well, this was private Biden business. Okay, you can say that what does the president of the United States care about this? Well, the fact is that according to his own videotaped statement at the Council on Foreign Relations in I think 2017 or 2018, Biden says that he was using a loan guarantee of over $1 billion from you and me, the taxpayers, as a bludgeon to get Ukraine to fire the prosecutor that was going after the company that was paying his crackhead son $50,000 a month. I would say the president of the United States has a legitimate interest in taxpayer money being used for that purpose. I'm Howie Carr. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper. If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
John, what happened at Perfect Smiles when you went?
The initial consultation was easy. In the past, they just hand me a clipboard to fill out the forms, but that's not how it worked at Perfect Smiles. What was nice was it was a true consultation. They asked me my medical history or what I wanted to get out of the treatment plan. For me, I lived with TMJ. I'd literally have to crack my jaw throughout the day to relieve the pressure. I'd get headaches throughout the day. I'd be in pain. When I was at Perfect Smiles, they asked me what I wanted to get out of the treatment. As a joke, I just said, geez, I'd love you to be able to fix my TMJ. And I was surprised because Dr. Houghton specializes in working with patients like me that have TMJ.
What were the results of visiting Dr. Houghton at Perfect Smiles?
Not only did I walk out of that office with a perfect smile, but he fixed my TMJ. It was a life-changing event. People tell me now that my smile is amazing. People would say, geez, John, your teeth look so great. I never realized my teeth looked so bad before. Now I take a look at the before and after pictures and I'm amazed.
Go to Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire, or visit their website, perfectsmiles.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy now.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much, but no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that.
Thank you, New England, for supporting Music Drives Us.
Since 2006, we have used the power of music to benefit communities throughout the 6 states of New England. During this time, we've proudly supported more than 200 schools and donated upwards of 1,000 instruments. And this year, we're getting ready to donate all over again. Our work is made possible for your continued support of our musical mission. Whether you donated, volunteered at our events, attended our concerts, or engaged with us on social media, thank you. We hope you'll stay tuned with what we have in store for this year, because it'll be our best year yet. Visit us at musicdrivesus.org. That's musicdrivesus.org. Or follow us at Music Drives Us on social. Together, we can keep music in our schools.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. 603 says, remind your audience that the son was riding around on Air Force Two doing his deals. Yeah, I think he went to China with his father on Air Force Two, and then 12 days later they announced the deal. That's pretty good. He put together $1 billion deal in 12 days. While smoking crack and suffering hallucinations of having barn owls fly in front of his rented car. Yeah. 844-500-4242. Biden says he didn't know anything was going on. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right, indeed. 844-500-4242. Rod Stewart's son plead not guilty to battery charges. This was on New Year's Eve. And I thought it was in the afternoon for some reason. I didn't know, but I just assumed that it didn't happen on the eve of the new year, on the, an hour away when the ball was about to drop in Times Square. But it happened at 11 o'clock on New Year's Eve.
Someone buys another round and whatever drinks are free. What made Milwaukee famous was made a loser out of me.
I don't think they serve Schlitz at the Breakers. I could be wrong, but pretty sure about that. A 33-year-old security guard told police he was working a private event at the hotel in a children's area when he observed a group of people causing a scene after they were denied entry. Is it possible alcohol was involved in this incident at 11 o'clock on New Year's Eve? The security guard said a man later identified as Sean Stewart, 39, got about nose-to-nose distance from his face. The security guard put the back of his right hand on Stewart's chest and told him he needed to back up to create some space. Why would it be the back of his hand? Why not the front? Why not the palm of his hand? Wouldn't that be the more natural way to do it? Sean Stewart allegedly responded by shoving the security guard backward. Police say Rod Stewart, age 74, then approached and threw a punch, striking the security guard in his left ribcage area. Both Rod and Sean Stewart acknowledged they became agitated when the family was denied access to the event.
I finally see what made Milwaukee famous.
Has made a loser out of Rod.
Poor Rod.
In 2007, Rod was arraigned in L.A. County Superior Court on 2 charges of assault with a deadly weapon and 1 count each of throwing a substance vehicle and vandalism with more than $400 in damages. He pleaded not guilty. Apparently, too, he was in a show called Celebrity Rehab. Are you familiar with that show, Grace?
Yes,
Celebrity
I
Rehab.
am. Yes, I am.
Is that show set in Palm Beach, by the way, Celebrity Rehab? It could very well be.
I think it was set in California, and they had a couple seasons, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, that was really when reality TV was just taking off.
Maybe it's time to bring back Celebrity Rehab, starting with one of the former contestants.
See, he's actually exactly who that caliber of celebrity, people who have fallen off and aren't as famous, were the people they could get on. Because the real famous people, they don't need to go on Celebrity Rehab. They can go to the rehab and pay for it.
Cassandra, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Cassandra.
She doesn't need to go on celebrity rehab, right? Because she's way up there.
Come on.
Yeah, she is. Anyway, no, I'm being serious.
Grace is going to go over there.
Anyway.
Grace is going to give us a crime scene report because she's going over there tonight to the actual scene of the crime. I wonder if there's still yellow police tape up around the incident.
You go, girl. Anyway, what I wanted to say, Howie, is you're not missing anything. When I called in, which was a while ago, and spoke with Brandon, there was a black fellow on at the impeachment, whatever.
Probably
trial.
Hakeem Jeffries. He's the one that AOC has been threatening to run somebody against him. He's in one of the adjoining districts to hers. So I guess he's trying to, get his credentials in order to avoid a primary challenge from the loony left.
He sounded like a sixth grader. I'm not kidding you. It was so sorry and so pathetic that you had just said, "What are we missing, Taylor? What are we missing? We don't have the TV on." And then Brandon cracked a joke about something being black and Nadler. And I'm listening to this black guy and I said, "You're not missing anything. It's so weak."
I know. I mean, how would you like to be stuck in there? I mean, whether you're running for president or not, I mean, anything would be better than that, wouldn't it?
My God, goodness gracious. The whole world has to be laughing at us.
I know.
They probably think it's reality TV and it's just a mistake and some kind of a lineup on the satellite, It's just not possible.
You know what I would like to see tomorrow? I would like to see some lawyer go in and file a class action suit against the House managers for, on behalf of the dedicated, devoted fans of General Hospital and other soap operas,
You brought that up with what's his name from the White House, and he didn't take you seriously, but it is serious.
Right. I'll bet people are really, again, the mainstream media aren't going to cover it, but I'll bet there are a lot of angry people out there about this, and not just General Hospital, but everybody has their shows that they particularly like, and they get used to them, and you got shut-ins, and if you're invested in some stupid, even if it's a stupid show.
Young and the Restless. I haven't figured out.
Isn't anything better than Schiff and Nadler and what's her name, Garcia and Crow and Hakeem Jeffries? These people are pathetic. If I think the Trump lawyers would be smart if they just make this thing very brief and not try to just run the clock. I mean, how do you 24 hours? How are they? We didn't do it, Your Honor. There's no crimes charged here, Mr. Chief Justice. What are we here for? We move for a directed verdict of not guilty and an acquittal and a dismissal of the charges. But I guess, again, they're going to have to point out something. Thanks for the call, Cassandra. Jack, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Howie, thanks for taking my call. Hey, Howie, best line was Roger Stone saying, "I don't watch CNN because I don't eat out of my toilet."
I know, that was a damn good line.
I was going to say, listen, the Democratic machine wants Joe Biden to win this nomination, right? It's clear that they don't want Bernie, and they know Pocahontas can't win, so they want Joe. But if Joe doesn't get the nomination, does that not blow the whole impeachment scheme out of the water? Because he was never Trump's opponent to begin with. He's the opponent of Bernie and the rest of those.
But I mean, by the time they get to Milwaukee for the convention, this impeachment thing is going to be far in the rearview mirror, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. They need to get rid of it. They need to end it quick.
I don't, but I'm with Stone though. I don't understand. I don't think Biden's going to make it all the way. I mean, whether or not he gets called as a witness, whether or not Hunter gets called as a witness. I mean, do you think he can survive? I mean, he's just stumbling around the country and just making a fool out of himself. There's no there anymore. I mean, he was never, again, judging from how much money they've extracted out of foreign countries and the taxpayers, I mean, somebody had to know what was going on. You can't run that kind of racket without having something on the ball. But whatever he had once is gone, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing there. He can't speak in a complete sentence. Thanks for the call, Jack. 844-500-4242. We now have Roger Stone's phone number and his email, so we're gonna be in touch with Roger Stone. We'll have him on again. I think he's I think he likes to talk, and I think I feel bad for him too, because I mean, he really has gotten framed. He's in the same boat, I think, with Michael Flynn. Paul Manafort, he was a sleazy guy. He is a sleazy guy. He tried to evade paying millions of dollars in income taxes, but there's no way that Roger Stone and Michael Flynn deserve to be in the jams they're in, especially when you got all these people like Comey, McCabe, Brennan, Clapper walking around, free men, not sweat, they're still hanging out in the green room. 844-500-4242. Jerry, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hi, Howie. Love your show.
Thanks.
I just give you a little information. I recently filled out a Nielsen rating, one of those week-long booklets.
Yeah.
And I put you down for about 10 hours, and that might have been conservative. And
Thank you.
You and Rush, those are my two guys. Oh, yeah, when your ratings pop about 20%, you can credit Western Mass for it. Hey, I got another one for you, too. I was wondering, what do you think about the idea? I know it's a far-fetched one. If MSNBC and Fox ever switch their guests and their roundtable experts for like a week, how do you think that'd go over?
Well, I don't think that's going to happen under any circumstances. I mean, how about the fact that Lawrence O'Donnell last week on the MSNBC Stop the Hammering guy, the guy who made the fake news, the false allegations that this multi-million-dollar loan for Donald Trump had been co-signed by Russian oligarchs, and Deutsche Bank held a loan. I mean, how about the fact that he said on a podcast, well, we're more anti-Trump because every once in a while CNN has somebody who doesn't hate Trump on as a guest, and we would never allow anybody to come on our network who doesn't hate Trump. I mean, that's what he said.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Where's the hammer? Is it go up on the other floor? Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering.
He went to Harvard, What do you say about Harvard men?
I always say, you can always tell a Harvard guy, but you can't tell him much. And
stop the yammering.
You can always, how you can find out someone went to Harvard? They'll tell you within the first 5 minutes. That's when someone texted it.
With Crimson and Triumph.
I'll go down to the floor myself and stop it. Keep the commercial break going.
With Crimson and Triumph flashing amidst the strains of victory, poor Lawrence O'Donnell is going upstairs to stop the hammering.
Call Phil Griffin. I don't care who the you have to call. Stop the hammering.
You know what's weird, though? What does he do, an hour of television? Why? And he probably gets paid oodles of money. You do 4 hours, and you've never yelled at anybody like that. What is he so mad about? It's 1 hour of TV.
I don't know.
What, did he have to stay for an hour and a half to film a segment?
There used to be a congressman from Milton. His name was Burke. And people would come in and they would complain about something. And he'd look at them and say, what? Do you think everything is on the level? I mean, I don't take it seriously. I'm like Jim Burke. I don't think it's on the level. Stop the yammering. Stop the yammering. Simply Safe Home Security is like getting commercial grade enterprise level security, but for your own home. Think about the security Fortune 500 companies use. They need to know police are going to be on the scene immediately. This is exactly the kind of security you get with Simply Safe. If there's a break-in, Simply Safe uses real video evidence to give police an eyewitness account of the crime. And that means police dispatch up to 3.5 times faster than for a normal burglar alarm. With Simply Safe, you get comprehensive protection for your home. Outdoor cameras and doorbells alert you to anyone approaching your home. Entry, motion, and glass break sensors guard inside. Plus, Simply Safe protects your home from fires, water damage, and carbon monoxide poisoning. It's all monitored 24/7 by live security professionals. You can set up your system yourself with no tools needed, or Simply Safe's experts can do it for you. And it's only 50 cents per day with no contracts. Go to simplysafehowie.com today to get free shipping on your order plus a 60-day money-back guarantee. That's simplysafehowie.com to save on home security today. Simplysafehowie.com. I'm Howie Carr.
If you change the station, the Moonbats win. You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Howie Carr Show podcast. Did you miss any hours of our show? Go to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts and download any episode for free.
Biden might be the front runner for the Democrats, but that isn't stopping him from serving up a whole lot of gaffes. Take a listen.
I believe that the president is literally an existential threat to America for three reasons. One, he is a genuine threat to our... I had permission to hug Lonnie. He says, let's make America great again. Let's make America America again. I think I'm either low IQ or slow, or I don't know what I am. Slow Joe Biden. Thanks for the Mary, and I'm going to be here a lot. I want the press to know she pulled me close. I just want you to know, okay? President Trump inherited an economy from Obama Biden. By the way, he gave me permission to touch it. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the east, in the west.
I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. You get a lot of patients, I'm sure, who are apprehensive about veneers. What are some of the questions and fears you get when you're dealing with new patients?
Some people think they could look too fake, but true cosmetic dentistry is incredibly detail-oriented. So we put a lot of time and effort into individualizing how the smile looks, and we really make them look natural, but very, very pleasant.
People are concerned. They wonder, I got my teeth. Do I really want to put caps on?
Exactly. Yeah, they think they'll have that Hollywood look or fake look, but the technology that we have available and the artistry that we can create now really makes things so natural that most people, in fact, most dentists are just surprised that we can create what we can create nowadays. Everyone is different. Everyone has different facial dimensions, different bone structure, and we do everything we can to individualize treatment because there is no one perfect smile. It is your perfect smile.
Dr. Houghton, where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE. 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of two poodles when I lived in Palm Beach. Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I loved those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7, 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for maybe close to 10 years.
What is your all-time favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas. I love it even more than The Godfather.
What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably chocolate ice cream, followed by vanilla ice cream, followed by coffee ice cream.
Hi, this is John in the People's Republic of Amherst, Massachusetts.
This is Heather from Litchfield, Maine.
This is Camp, Wichita, Kansas, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Do you think I'm drunky? That's what he was saying. That's what he was saying on New Year's Eve at 11 o'clock. But incidentally, what kind of kid party do you have at 11 o'clock on New Year's Eve? I've been at the Breakers when there were, when the New Year came and went and the fireworks went off and all that stuff, but they never had a little kid party. mean, they have parties for like 9 and 10-year-olds, but this sounds like it was a little kid party, doesn't it?
Yeah, even a party for the 9 and 10-year-olds, can't you just have that at 10 o'clock and pretend it's midnight and then they go to bed?
See, what happens is when it gets, I've been at the Breakers. I don't know what they're doing now, but it gets to be like 12 o'clock, and the ball has come down in Times Square. They got trays of champagne running around. And then that's when you got to worry about the 13 and 14-year-old kids.
Yeah.
I know that firsthand,
Oh.
Watch it there. Hey, get your hand out of there.
I thought it was apple juice. Sorry.
And that's going on. But again, these sound like they were younger kids than this. But anyway.
You know what, Howie? You're just going to have to get to the bottom of this. You're going to have to run into Rod and have a sit down and hash this
It's
thing
February 18th. That's when it's going back to court.
Oh, so you're going to meet him at the courthouse?
I only go over there for the Kennedy trials when there's a Kennedy drug case or a Kennedy rape case. Hi, Grace. Great job. Did Grace meet Roger Stone? Yes, Grace actually tweeted out a picture of herself with Roger Stone.
Yes, I did meet Roger. He was very snazzily dressed.
He always is. He's a
he's always got those pinstripe suits on.
And he's got the matching the little thing in his pocket. What do you call that? A square. He's got one of those squares in his pocket.
Square?
Pocket square. One of those things I don't have, Taylor.
Oh, Christmas is only a year away.
And you know what? You know what else I don't have? I don't have a tattoo of Richard Nixon on my back.
But you know what?
I was looking at his back and thinking about that, but I knew I wasn't going to ask him to take off his shirt so I could see the tattoo. I've seen a picture of it. It's a giant tattoo.
How you know what you did have though?
What?
You had your shoes on, which is up for
I
you.
had my shoes.
That's pretty good. Pretty dressed up.
And I have my NC shirt on which was given to me by Bruce from the Mets. Steve from Springfield, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Howie, how you doing?
Good.
I'm answering Nancy Pelosi's call for a fair trial. Seeing as Trump had no witnesses and the Democrats had 7, Trump gets the next 7 witnesses. So I'm figuring like Chalupa, the whistleblower, Joe and Hunter Biden.
Right.
And
Sean Misko, Sean Misko, the guy that works for Schiff and is his best buddy of the whistleblower. Schiff himself. We need Schiff himself, don't we?
Schiff and Nadler. Oh yeah, those were the ones I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
And we'll just get 7, and then we'll start doing one for one. And because if they want to start going after Trump's State Department, how about Obama's State Department and what he had to do with Ukrainians trying to sabotage Trump?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I don't think Trump wants any of that. I think Trump just wants Trump realizes that this is dreary TV. You got to remember, I mean, Trump understands the world of TV. I mean, he was NBC's #1 guy for a number of years. Right? So he doesn't want any of this. I don't blame him. 844-500-4242. Grace, I want you to do some investigative work tonight over at the Breakers. I want you to get some eyewitness accounts.
Grace Curley in the field.
Bring some yellow police tape with you too. From Howie Carr.
As the 2020 presidential campaigns heat up, there's plenty of talk about what's best for the country.